The trash this time is this blonde-ass broke boy who just got fired from a Chinese Twitch TV where he managed some Pokemon's wannabe. He was like your Twitch mod, but in real life. And for a time, those e-girls incarnations were trying their best to cozy him up because he could have got them some perks in the business. But now that bro's eating dirt for breakfast, they are all cold and distant. But no worries, because the reckless system came in clutch. All he has to do is make those sly vixens who once humiliated him feel the deepest regret. But bros ain't no beta, he ain't alpha, he's ligma balls. And noticed how everyone's changed the moment he got a lil bag. These Temu Amirus be trying their best, and bro's gotta lock in, because he has to survive against this cold redhead lunatic who's always trying to get on his wallet. This dumbass 5 IQ big boobed small brain friend of hers, and the final boss. This white hair girl that shares some genes with Rimuru Tempest, cause every time she dances on TikTok, she be dripping like a fountain. Girl's got some slime genes for real. But even with all this brutality being thrown in, my boy, he stays a reckless Sigma, and keeps dodging those bullets while still bags literal 10 out of 10 models. But is this true, G? Do you believe that bros will stay true to himself, or will he lose this battle and succumb to the delicious game? Let's find out.
What's up, boss? Just 2 days off. My family's in a rough spot. I promise when I get back, I'll make the work worth it. The boss, though, wants to know what's this nonsense about taking time off. The company's drowning in problems to solve. Nobody can take vacation right now. The bastard says that while he's watching that damn black diaper swaying side to side, took a rocket hit and nearly died, while the protagonist is there explaining that his mom's sick. She's in the hospital. Someone's got to take care of the old lady. But the boss fires back, "Hit, don't you have a dad? Put him on it. She's my your wife." While the bastard is saying that the big sister is actually thanking him for the rocket she took. Our boy's clenching his fists, and the boss goes on about how at the pace he's working. How does he expect to move up in his career? Young people these days are way too soft, talking about sick relatives and wanting time off. He tells the kid to get out of there and get back to work right away. In the media industry, you always got to keep an eye on trends, and there's no time for breaks. Or better yet, if you're so eager to rest, why don't you do this? Quit, idiot. You graduated from some third-rate university and got lucky landing a job at a company this big. If you're ungrateful for the opportunity, why don't you just retire, huh? Then you can take all the days off you want. Seeing shifts and our boy smoking that little life shortener while his phone rings. It's the dad who wants to know, "Oh, Xing Wang, kid, when are you coming back?" At the same time, the dad says that the fitness nurse shows up, telling him it's the same excuse as always. If he doesn't pay, she's going to be kicked out of there. The dad tells the boy to just say straight up if he's going to be able to send money, but the protagonist was getting ready to admit he got fired, right? So instead he tells him not to worry, that he's coming back and he'll be able to scrape together enough cash to pay those bills. But the dad's a good guy, says, "Son, if it's not all good, that's fine too. We'll ask some relatives, some friends, the insurance will help too." But Xing Wang knows that's a lie. They've already borrowed from everybody, there's nobody else left to ask. Still, they're stuck in that polite back and forth, the dad saying, "No son, you graduated, you're not going to get wrecked in life right now." The protagonist, though, checks his bank account. 50,000 Chinese money. That's basically 2 Nestle chocolate bars. And he can't believe he got fired in a situation like this. He goes into HR and 20 minutes later, it's officially official. The boy's unemployed. He can't believe he quit in a time like this when jobs are hard to find. Yeah, maybe it was a bit crazy, but a real man doesn't take that kind of humiliation. Then the freedom system appears. Because he made a choice that goes against what the ancestors would have done, he's rewarded with 88,000 Chinese coins, around $12,000. Wang's confused, wondering what notification sound that was with that strange window popping up in front of him. The system only tells him to enjoy the money. He pulls out his phone to check his bank account, and sure enough, a deposit of 88,000 coins landed there. The system tells its master not to be scared because things are only just beginning. The silver one's thinking if he hadn't seen with his own eyes those 88,000 sitting in the account, he wouldn't have believed it. But what's this business about living in freedom? Whatever it is, he's going to find a chance to test it out. That's when the one in the really short shorts wants to know what he's thinking. Good lord, this warrior woman Gao Wen, with maybe 2% of her body covered in clothing, a dancer on the platforms, asks if he's ready to stream. Our boy's already spraying ketchup out his nose, stammering, yeah, what? He can't even think straight, totally lost. She tells him to stop spacing out, but look at the height and the angle she's coming at him from. Since he handles marketing, she wants him to talk to the higher-ups to get more investment into her brand. The protagonist admits that online, she's the queen of dancing, those exact ones. The only problem, and also her best trait, is that she loves to play around. I'm guessing he means with jokes, hopefully. He then apologizes and says he's not going to handle influencer business anymore. Suddenly, her expression changes, and she wants to know why, out of nowhere. The protagonist knows this sly one only ever paid him extra attention because he managed things for her. Now, though, each goes their own way, and he's done caring. But Wen steps closer and says that even if he's no longer the manager, she doesn't trust anyone else to take care of her. She's doing that, but inside she's thinking, damn it, why aren't my cute tricks working today? Meanwhile, Wang's firm. He knows this woman was just using him to profit more, and now he doesn't have to put up with it, so goodbye. But then she hits in with 2 fireballs and asks what other company he's going to, and if that means they won't be competitors anymore. Our boy's trying to keep his innocence, but it's tough. Still, he decides to motivate himself with the system's money. If it's real, there isn't a woman in the world he can't have. Not to mention, the one standing in front of him has already gone through a lot of surgery. Out of nowhere, he says the girl's nose is a little crooked. Like, why would he even say that? What a waste. That's like meat on a vegan's plate. The poor girl turns all red and immediately grabs a mirror, saying that's impossible. But weirdly enough, she comes to the conclusion that yeah, it actually does look a little crooked. And the system congratulates him for refusing to be this girl's lapdog. For daring to do that, he gets another 23,000. As soon as it drops into his account, he starts to understand what absolute freedom really means. He had to do whatever he wanted, refuse to be cattle for these manipulators. That honestly scares me because I don't want the protagonist to turn into a simp, but I also don't want him to never score a goal either. For crying out loud, we're in China, kid, have some honor. Then this young one with back problems can't even stand straight, leaning as she says she hopes they can collaborate in the future. Wang's amazed that he just pointed out her flaws and she's sitting there calm, not even bothered. She then just says she hopes they'll stay friends and that if he struggles to find work, he should just message her. Like, what? Work where? Wang doesn't get it. She flipped the whole game. She actually seems like she's not such a bad person. Then she says, since it's like that, he's going to buy her dinner. And since it's his farewell day, it's not going to be some cheap place. She gets a little shy and he says he's already packed his stuff. Goodbye, girl, we're hitting the streets. Before, riding in Uber was luxury for him. But now he's getting picked up in a BMW. He's blown away. On those rich people apps, the car shows up in 3 minutes. The driver tells him to hop in, and the system congratulates the boy for spending big without having much, calling him reckless, and rewards him with another 50,000. Our boy then asks to stop the pancake shop, and boom, they're there. He steps out, and the old lady recognizes him. Oh my boy, you want the usual hot pancake without egg and sausage, because you're pretty poor. But he tells her to chill. Today the champ wants egg and sausage. My God, what is this guy ordering in the streets? No way is there some apocalypse I don't know about. Everyone's shocked that he's buying a pancake right there, and he's standing proud with his hands in his pockets while the crowd's like, damn, he's the man. The system throws in another 20,000. Lord Almighty, this world's messed up. I don't want to be part of this universe. Or maybe I do, because the perks keep rolling in. To top it off, he celebrates, saying next time he wants 5 eggs. Doesn't say another word. Shoves it all down, tosses the trash, and now we're in front of the K-18. Suddenly it hits him. He could have eaten there, right? Would have been better. Plus, he's got to get ready for dinner with Wen. Walking past the shops, he can't afford to look like a beggar every day, when suddenly he comes across Hachibi, apparently a knockoff Adidas, but doesn't even look fake. He's feeling bold, decides to check around, and finds a Louis Vuitton. Inside, only healthy-looking staff, but as soon as he walks in, they size him up. Messy hair, baggy clothes, old phone, bargain bin shirt, worn-out shoes. Damn, they clock all that in one glance. Not even ChatGPT could spot all that so fast. And he notices, hey, are you girls really gonna ignore me like I'm not even here? They pretend he doesn't exist, and he realizes he's being humiliated. So he says, man, I'm tired from work today. Came to spend about 150,000, but since no one wants to serve me, I'll just head to Hermes. The second money gets mentioned, the girls multiply like rabbits, all eager to know what he wants to buy. In that moment, the protagonist sees it clearly. Money rules this world. He walks out of the store in brand new clothes. He's impressed he doesn't even have to carry the bags because the girl follows along carrying everything. This hotshot is already trying to cozy up, talking about some jewelry event, but he realizes she only wants him to spend more, so he waves goodbye. Even so, she keeps a smile on her face, telling him to have a great day. Meanwhile, all the gold diggers around notice he's holding bags from fancy stores. Right then, the system praises him again for his recklessness in spending, even with his mother in the hospital. 650,000 deposited. Honestly, the system's right. The boy's got his mother dying in the hospital, and here he is at the mall blowing cash. And now we're at the date. As soon as he arrives, the tall one of the moment tells him to come with her. She's taking him to the VIP area where he can wait for his friends. He realizes that with branded clothes, you don't even have to do anything. Just show up, and you're instantly taken in. She waves goodbye, leaving our boy upstairs, looking down while checking a Google Maps photo, thinking about how different the treatment became the second he said he was spending money at the store. As long as you got enough, you can do whatever you want in this world. And now all the fantasies he had in his head were finally about to become real. At last, he remembers his family. He transfers 100,000 to his dad. Crazy how stingy that is. He's sitting on 600,000 and only sends 1/6 to his mom in a coma. The scene shifts to Wen, and wow, she must be friends with Rimuru Tempest because the girl's basically a slime, all sticky and gooey. And anyone who's read those brain-melting stories already knows it's about time for a rocket launch. Our protagonist delivers, and she says it's time to end the stream. The girl's got accessories down to her feet, and now she throws herself into a chair, exhausted. The rest of the engineers and scientists show up, wanting to know what's for dinner. She says she's going out. Another one immediately assumes it must be some rich guy, her sugar daddy. But Wen denies it and reveals it's actually our boy, Sing Wang. The NASA prodigies are shocked she even remembers him. And yeah, I'm clowning her, but I'm a YouTuber myself, not exactly contributing much to society either. Still, my god, this girl's been drawn from every possible angle, and she insists it's just a dinner to eat something, nothing more, no special interest. One of the engineers says she wants to go too, but the slime girl tells them the boy's paying, so please don't order anything too expensive. The redhead scientist, though, knows the kid's broke, and now that he's trying to act like a big shot, she plans to ruin his fun. The slime says she's going to get ready, calls everyone along, and now we're in the parking lot. One engineer is struggling to find work, and our slime tells her to dance more. But she refuses, says no way, she's just waiting to meet a rich guy to pull her out of this mess. The redhead cuts her down, saying she's dreaming too much. Just not having to sleep around to make money is already lucky. She tells her friend not to provoke, that anyone can dream, and the redhead replies, fine, dreaming's allowed, but reality isn't changing. Then they ask where they're going to have dinner. When the slime checks, she looks startled. One of the girls is sure it must be such a cheap place she's embarrassed to say it. King presses her to spit it out, and she says it's a place called King Tian, a super famous Michelin 3-star restaurant. 3,000 per person, reservations hard to get. Instantly, the other one realizes she made a mistake. Suddenly, this boy must have gotten successful. The cold-hearted one argues the address must be the same, but probably some regular spot nearby. The slime tells her to stop judging our boy, but the redhead chimes in, oh, it's fine, he's a decent person deep down. As always, assuming they'll end up embarrassed, but whatever, they're already on the road. On the way, King's impressed at how smooth the BMW rides, while her friend points out she's got tons of fans on her streams. She should learn how to really make money. And wow, the girl really knows. She shows a move explaining you just accidentally let something show, then give it a little squeeze. That's all it takes. Lower your standards just a little and rockets are guaranteed to be firing nonstop. And she just revealed her weak spot. She said she's doing these streams, but if a rich guy showed up, she'd become a housewife in an instant. She's the coldest one of them all, and she's going to be the first to fall. But then she asks why Miss Slime is so quiet. Slime replies that it's not worth depending on someone because then you'll never be an independent woman and you'll always be living off that person. The money vampire tells her to stop killing the vibe like that. Meanwhile, she's thinking this girl has the nerve to talk like that when she's got the boldest dances she's ever seen. Slime says she'd rather do all that and make money than spend her life relying on someone else. As they get out of the car, King asks if maybe they should double-check the address because they might have gotten it wrong. Her friend agrees, saying they'll embarrass themselves if they walk in there and find out it's not the right place. She's calling, but Wang isn't answering, and now she's convinced the boy's tricking the three of them. And yes, that includes you. Slime wonders if maybe he's just busy, but the redhead insists they've been fooled, but they can still head upstairs to check if the boy's really there. Wen says fine and steps into the elevator, thinking it really was crazy to believe that kid, who had a trash salary like them, would be paying for a place like this. She walks crooked up to the door to take a look. Doesn't see anyone, and the worst part is he's not answering. Then suddenly someone appears behind them, asking if they have a reservation. They hesitate for a second, but the redhead barges in and says yes. With no way to back out, Wen gives the name Sing Wang, and that redheaded devil knows the boy's salary has to be around 5,000. Considering how much each of them would spend here, he'd need to work 3 or 4 months just to cover one night. She wants to see if it's real. Then the receptionist says Wang's been waiting for her a while now, and she's left standing there confused. This redhead really is a vampire sucking happiness. She's angry at Slime now, saying that all she ever does is dance with amazing moves, rack up fans, and still manage to have people pay everything for her. But this is the perfect chance. She'll make Wang look pathetic for not having money, and Slime will suffer too for not being sponsored. The receptionist tells them to get in the elevator, and King hesitates, saying maybe it's just the same last name. What if they run into someone they've never even met? Normally, the elevator is for VIPs only, and just one seat up there costs 10,000. Slime can't believe it, but the redhead is certain. Even if that kid saved every penny for a whole year, he wouldn't have enough for a night like this. She's excited to watch him crash and burn. Then the radiant girl opens the door and invites them inside. And now I realize that receptionist is actually hotter than all three of them. The clueless ones are wondering if Sing Wang is really there. King decides to take a selfie since they're already in the VIP area. Better to at least get some social media proof before they get kicked out. But that broad-shouldered redhead tells her to take it alone. She doesn't want to be part of such an embarrassment. King's more humble and takes a picture anyway. But wait, what's that pose? Hand covering the mouth? What are you trying to imply with that, girl? Damn. The redhead starts demanding to know where the boy is, saying they're already embarrassing themselves. Meanwhile, the gorgeous receptionist knocks on the door, telling him his guests have arrived. Slime whispers that maybe they should just leave since clearly they got carried away thinking he'd be there. When the redhead's convinced the boy isn't coming, the legend shows up. That's right, It's the guy who won't spend a dime on his dying mother in the hospital, but will blow money on 3 hot girls at a restaurant. That's one of the bold ones. He says he woke up to their calls and asks, "Were you missing me or something?" Right then, he turns to the hot receptionist and tells her to start serving everything. The girls are comparing the amazing before and after. Yeah, he opened up the jacket in the middle like it was a secret. And apparently it really was, because one of them is already about to faint, her hips even trembling. King comments that Wang was wearing all sorts of branded clothes. Just that little jacket alone cost 40,000 yuan, half of what he sent to his mom in the hospital. I'll be remembering that forever. The redhead recognizes everything as Louis Vuitton. Where the hell did this guy get stuff like that? Slime latches onto him, saying they took too long, while our boy says hi to Xiao King. He turns and asks, "Who's this clown here?" "All awkward," she says. "My name is Kin Exinyo." "Oh, okay, without the TikTok filter, you look pretty different." Dan roasted her on the spot. She tries to play it off, says the makeup's a bit light, but she's definitely biting her tongue. Slime explains they're just some work friends and didn't think it'd be a problem. Before he can say anything else, copy-paste. Servers are coming in, carrying all the dishes. The buffet spread is top quality, and the girls start wondering how Xing Wang is paying for all this. Right away, King guesses he must be some secret rich kid pretending to be just a normal worker. But Slime, already starting her Rimuru Tempest transformation, says she has no idea. The protagonist, though, is disappointed with the slimy meat, saying it doesn't whet his appetite at all. King just wants to take a picture, and he says, "All right, go ahead, girl." Flash goes off, while the redhead questions if Slime lied to them and already knew about this. She insists she had no clue. Even though she'd known Wang before, he only ever really talked when posting stuff for the streams. Then she remembers one time he took a taxi and wonders if he was actually some low-profile second-generation rich kid. Maybe he just doesn't like women paying for him and had no choice but to reveal he's got money. The protagonist glances back and asks if they got anything more normal. He just wants to fill up. Humble King praises him, saying rich people food always leaves you hungry, so it's good he'll order something decent. The server, though, offers truffle steak with rose's salmon, liver with pineapple from the guts of some Alaskan lizard steak. Who even knows what that is? The protagonist says just hearing the name already kills his appetite. Can't they just give him a steak? Some meat, sliced in the middle, tossed in the pan? King is impressed. It's the first time she's seen someone order so humbly in such a fancy restaurant. It was eye-opening. The redhead scoffs that if he's not ready to eat good food, he shouldn't even have come. She's confused. To her, either he got rich recently or he's an imposter. Doesn't make sense. The protagonist, though, is demanding they bring him some barbecue skewers. The girl's stunned on the defensive, asking why he even requests something like that. It's not on the menu. He tells them to call the manager then. They'll have a little chat. The one is rattled. Did this kid really have the guts to go that far? And then he shows up, dangerous mustache and all, saying, "En un restaurante francés, como est, solo se serve cocina francesa." Why did I just speak Spanish? I don't know. The redhead's smirking, thinking he's screwed now. A French restaurant won't accept such ridiculous requests. But Xing Wang proves otherwise. The meat he wants is worth 3 times more than his mother's life, because he offers 300,000 plus an extra 50. The shock is so great the girls all go cross-eyed. And right away, the mustached man says just tell him what to prepare. He'll make it. Our boy thanks him but asks him to keep that aggressive vibe. The guy pushes his glasses up and assures him it'll be taken care of. Then the system chimes in, saying if he keeps breaking the restaurant's rules, he'll earn 500,000. So he turns to the best food on the table and says that a restaurant is a place to eat, relax, and stay at ease. King agrees, thinking it's much better to eat good food and actually fill up. Right then, the copy-paste servers come in with the barbecue skewers he ordered. The girl is confused. With money, you can really force everyone to do whatever you want. She even decides to take a photo. It's unbelievable that she's eating kebabs and skewers like this in a Michelin star restaurant. The protagonist calls the 3 dishes over, asking who's ready to stuff their bellies. Not long after, everything's devoured and he wipes his mouth, excusing himself because he needs to go to the bathroom. As soon as he leaves, the girls are already whispering that just the boy's outfit was 1.5 times more valuable than his mother's life. For someone like that working at their company, he should have liked Dear Slime. But she replies she's not that charming. You must have lost it after getting fired. King says that's impossible. He's clearly a second-generation rich kid who decided to experience more of life. Right away, the vampire asks if Slime has tried to make a move on him. King admits that if a guy with all that money ever did something like that, her heart wouldn't be able to take it. Meanwhile, the artist's pencil is being guided, sketching a Nike swoosh on the girl's backside, while she comments that Slime is way too calm for a situation like this. She must be hiding something from her friends. Slime says she's going crazy, that she had no clue about any of this. On top of that, she doesn't even have feelings for the boy. She's never had any private interaction with him, and had no idea he was this wealthy. To her, he was just a modest worker at the company, sometimes even doing overtime. He seemed like a dedicated person, so she never imagined it. That's when the vampire Xinyo says that nowadays a lot of guys max out credit cards just to keep up a fake image. Maybe he's the opposite, pretending to be humble but actually loaded. King admits that makes sense, but there's no way to be sure. Of course, the vampire insists it's easy to test how rich he really is. Slime pushes back, saying she's being way too intrusive. He's already covering this ridiculously luxurious place, so there's no reason to push further. But Sinuo, with her trademark sly smile, tells Slime to stop being so naive. She shouldn't underestimate the value they have. As popular streamers, plenty of men would want to spend on them. What Slime doesn't realize is that she's being emotionally manipulated by Juan, pretending to be broke just to trap her in this setup where he looks like an honest guy. Damn, this girl's playing four-dimensional chess all by herself. Wen says it's fine, she has no interest in starting anything romantic. But for her favorite angle, Sinuo says they just need to follow her lead and not worry. Next scene, the three of them are in the parking lot, and Wen's a little concerned. What if this lunatic tries something crazy with Wong? King, being straightforward, asks if the boy has a girlfriend. He answers in the cringiest way possible. No, he's been single since birth. Genuinely a lone wolf in the romance department. The girl looks a little puzzled, and he explains that he was always focused on his career, so he never had much time to bother with dating. The blonde starts imagining him lying down serving some girl, though she doesn't even get what that means since the translation was trash. And with that, the sly vampire leans into the car, saying she knows a place with the perfect vibe to grab some drinks. With an invitation like that, Wang just accepts, and they're on the road. Slime stays quiet while Xingwang's already thinking about stacking up enough money to start his own media company. Considering how much he knows about this field, it's not hard to believe he could actually succeed. On top of that, he could gain access to celebrities. And yeah, I know exactly what kind of access you're after, you sneaky bastard. As soon as they park the car, Xinyo warns that prices there are pretty exorbitant, so he better be careful. If she ends up drinking too much, you won't mind, right? The blonde jumps in to answer for our boy, saying no, she can drink whatever she wants. Hold on, that's his line to answer. Right then, our boy spots another clown walking by with two girls on his arms. He's excited because if this place really is full of celebrities, he's eager to meet some of them for the media company he's already planning in his head. I thought it was a nightclub, but turns out it's actually a basketball court, with everyone practicing moves on the balls. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four are hanging off to the side, and our boy's at zero. The freeloader instantly orders a margarita, and the other two follow her lead. The redhead leans in to ask what our boy wants, eager to expose how broke he really is. He brushes it off, looking disinterested, and she presses again, asking what he's going to order. He says anything's fine, he doesn't really care. So she orders some iced tea from an island he's never heard of, basically a ridiculously strong cocktail. Her friend's shocked, but she plays it off innocently, saying, "It's a bar, let's drink." The beat drops, everyone's dancing, and Sung Jinwoo's in the middle of the dance floor. What the hell? Get out of there, Sung Jinwoo. Go back to your dungeons. Another girl remarks that the place is crazy expensive, but worth it. Oily Slime tells her friend to know when to stop, but the vampire's itching to expose the boy, saying if he wants to act like a rich guy, then he has to pay like one. She keeps calling for him, but he's scanning the crowd, interested in finding future business partners. She's pissed that he's ignoring her. He finally turns, unfazed, asking if she called him. She says he seems distracted and suggests they play the dice game. He doesn't know it and asks how it works. She throws on a little security guard hat and explains that it's simple, but she'll make it more fun. Whoever loses has to take off a piece of clothing. Girl, are you serious? You forget you're in a public place? The protagonist just chuckles, stands up, and says he knows full well she's a pro at that game. She must have forgotten he managed a big chunk of the company, and clearly she's trying to use him to squeeze out money or make him look like a fool. That hits her hard, leaving her shaking, not knowing which way to fall. He tells her she must be thinking there's no way a kid who made only $5,000 a month could have any real money. Up until now, he let things slide because he didn't want her to embarrass herself too badly. The system congratulates our boy for refusing to be her lapdog and exposing her schemes without mercy. Then the protagonist reveals he's not from a rich family. She immediately jumps in celebrating, saying she knew it from the start, he was faking it all along. He shuts her down, telling her to stay quiet. He's not finished yet. He says he might not come from wealth, but he has enough money. And since she wants to play this dice game, here's $300,000 on the table. Walk out of here without a single piece of clothing left. What a gift to the community. 3 times the value of his mother's life just to see this one stripped down. Truly a family man. Now she's blushing, insisting he's exaggerating. Slime tells him to calm down, she was just joking. But Xinu doesn't have limits. She says there's no way he actually has 300,000. Right then, the protagonist shouts that anyone who wants can grab all the drinks from the bar because there's 300,000 credit on his card for everyone. Right away, the guy approves and he throws his thumb up while everyone celebrates, tossing bottles in the air and saying they never expected such a kind touch from a gentle stranger. Hold on. What's going on, guys? Calm down. The system then congratulates our boy with 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, while the other one is in disbelief that he really spent 300,000. He walks past the one with the red light on her forehead, telling her she better calm down and start respecting him more, even if he used to be poor. And there's a lesson in it for her too. Anyone who spends too much time staring at someone else's wallet ends up humiliated by money. My God, it's Socrates in the nightclub. What's happening here? He sits back down while she lowers her head, shaken. It rattled her. King even notices that her friend's foundation was rocked, and the girl stands up saying she's got things to do. She's leaving tonight. Tears running, stomping off, while our boy decides that now it's finally time to play the dice game. But this world doesn't allow a single second of peace. Another redhead shows up to stir trouble, saying that Gao, our dear slime, must have had a bad live stream and came here to cry. Gao turns and answers that she's off the clock. If they want to talk about that, they'll do it later. What the hell? The girl walks up slapping her, telling her to stop pretending to be innocent. Considering the exotic moves she pulls off in her dances, why act like a saint? Gao slaps her hand away and says, "Take your hands off me. What I do in my work isn't your business." The fool feels the pressure but tells her not to be so distant. Then she sits down beside her, saying this is the perfect chance for a live stream. Internet celebrities always have to stay in the spotlight, and with that, she goes all in, welcoming her viewers. She announces she's sitting next to her friend Gao Wen, but Gao doesn't seem very excited. What she's really after is a PK, a streamer duel to see who earns more money. Now Gao Wen's viewers start sending messages, telling her not to be afraid, that they'll make sure she wins. Oh, and it turns out the pink-haired girl is the #2 ranked dancer, a top-tier talent in hip shaking. She's eager to use this chance to climb to the top. At that moment, though, Slime gets a call. As soon as she picks up, it's the company boss telling her to start her stream right now and not miss the opportunity. She's trending. She doesn't really want to. He reminds her she doesn't have a choice. She's paid for this. If she doesn't stream, she knows exactly what's coming. The pink-haired one tells her own viewers she's sure Gao Wen will join. She's such a hardworking girl. Then she turns to her friend asking if she's scared, but Gao's already preparing herself. Soon the artist is going to grab his paint buckets because the frantic movements have begun. And by the looks of it, the pink-haired one is getting showered with rockets while poor Gao Wen, drunk and shaken, is moving all clumsy. Everyone's wondering if she uses special effects in her studio, because right here at the party, she looks like she's running on empty. In the comments, plenty of people already know that poor Gao Wen streamed all day, shaking her hips side to side, and now she's exhausted. Our protagonist notices they're playing dirty with the girl, and a gentleman like him can't let her suffer. Boom! Rockets land, leaving her all slimed up. She's melting there, thanking her big brother, when suddenly 4, 5, 6 more hit. She keeps thanking while the pink-haired girl stops her dance in disbelief, demanding to know who this big brother is that's sending so much. Her viewers are desperate to find out who this person is investing all that money. Slime keeps smiling oily thanks at the viewers, but inside she's already thinking this is going overboard. Who is this lunatic who just donated 10 times the amount it would cost to save his mother in the hospital? I said it was the protagonist, but honestly, I'm not even sure. But he's there in the background asking if there's any reason to keep this going. Ah, no, it really was him. For spending without any kind of intention, he gets another 5 million. King says it doesn't make sense. Probably some kid stole his dad's phone and accidentally hit the button. But look at him standing proud. Now that he's received another 5 million, another shower comes pouring down. Riruru Tempest is begging him to take it easy because this won't stop and the girl's about to collapse. Meanwhile, one of the gangsters, maybe even our boy's boss, shows up. That's right, at the beginning he was donating to some girl. Couldn't have been her. He's trying to flip the game, launching his own rocket shower. She's thrilled, saying it's finally her turn too. She thanks old Kang for everything he always does for her. He really is one of the best big brothers. This Kang guy's been asking her for ages to send him a full video, let's say, and won't pass up the chance to look like a hero saving her from this tight spot. Rockets keep flying while the protagonist thinks he really needs to slow down. His fingers twitching on the click, using Minecraft speed techniques to donate faster. The system once again praises his madness, giving him another 10 million. And after so many rockets, Rimuru Tempest wins, thanking everyone for the support. But out of nowhere, the protagonist still sends another 1,000 rockets, earning yet another 1 million bonus. Slime Girl is confused but thanks him, saying it wasn't necessary at all. She even asks him to stop donating, reminding him that everyone's an honest worker in this world and she doesn't deserve that much. While she's celebrating, the redhead is standing there in shock, not understanding who that guy really was. In the end, she pushed him and ended up humiliating herself in front of everyone. The protagonist, though, stands up and says it's getting late. He's heading to sleep. He also calls out to Miss Lu, telling her not to get discouraged. She's pretty cute, too. Sooner or later, some big brother's going to show up asking her for a little video. Wait, how does he know everything? The girls whisper that his words must have shaken the girl, who's trembling without understanding anything, while the group heads out. Outside, King comments that poor Lu Shui really embarrassed herself. Today, she finally learned from her friend what it means to have the biggest supporter on the entire platform. But she doesn't understand why Wen isn't happy. Wen replies that she doesn't deserve it. She's never even seen that person in her live stream, and suddenly, they donated all that money. She feels like something strange is about to happen. King tells her to be more positive. It's probably just a very generous supporter. Wen says wait, she's going to send a message to that person. The second she clicks, the protagonist gets a notification. Both girls recognize it's the exact same sound from the platform. They turn to look at him, and the protagonist says it's just a coincidence for God's sake. He just got fired, there's no way he has that much money. Slime points out that he spent plenty paying for drinks for everyone. He replies that paying for drinks is one thing, but that mountain of rockets is another. He doesn't have that kind of cash. But then King comments that the donor's name had Wang in it, and his name's Wang too. Couldn't it have been him? Wen tells her to stop bothering him and asks where he lives. She'll take him there. Nice thought, but he's not interested. He's too much of a man to be taken home by a woman, so he says he'll grab a taxi. Just then, a clown in a tie steps out, saying he's lucky to have run into such a beauty out here. And it's the company boss who spots our boy and says he thinks he recognizes his former employee. How could a broke worker like him not be ashamed of being supported by women in a place like this? Wen jumps in though, saying he was the one who paid for everything tonight. The boss is puzzled, telling her to quit joking. That kid's broke, he doesn't even have money to take care of his mother in the hospital. On top of that, the boss says he knows it was someone else who paid for everything at the bar tonight, so it's better to drop the act. But then he adds that he appreciates the boy. Broke as he is, he clearly had the charm to win the girl over. King, furious, tells him to stop threatening, because she saw with her own eyes that he paid for everything. The boss shuts her down, telling her to be quiet and stop thinking she's important just because she's got a few fans. He points out that all her fans are fake anyway. She should know by now the company spent a fortune promoting her, and most of the people following her don't even know who she is. All she does is put on makeup and expect people to like her. Basically, she's one of the company's biggest losses. He sneers that she should just stick to cheap tricks on camera. Damn, that was harsh. Then suddenly he turns to Wen and says he just remembered she's tired of being a dancing streamer. If she does him a little favor, maybe he can make a call and land her a part in a drama. Obviously, what he's hinting at is something shady. But right then, the protagonist grabs his hand and tells him to have some respect. The boss yanks his hand away and snaps at him. Kid, you trying to play hero? Wearing a bunch of fake Louis Vuitton, thinking you're somebody? Get lost. But Gao Wen steps in, telling the boss that if he bothers her one more time, she'll end the contract. He laughs, saying that's funny. As far as he knows, she signed for 5 years and still has more than a year left. If she quits now, she'll have to pay $10 million. She replies that just today she earned more than enough, so of course she can pay it. Out of nowhere, the boss insults her, saying that in ancient times she'd have been called a courtesan. What she's selling isn't art, it's just an image, so she should stop pretending to be pure. He steps closer, saying that even if she tries to leave by paying, they won't let her. They made her famous, so now she'll work for them forever. That's when the protagonist steps forward, declaring that if she can't leave, he'll buy all of Myomio Media himself. Then it won't be her who leaves, but the boss instead. The man is confused, not sure what this blonde kid is talking about. Fed up with the nonsense, he pats him on the shoulder and says, fine. He'll be waiting for the day this kid ever buys a company. Then he storms off in anger, muttering that the brat really tried to act tough in front of him. Meanwhile, King is devastated, realizing all her fans were bots. She's picturing one of those Chinese farmed factories where a single guy has 750 phones in the same room. She feels crushed, but Wen takes her hand and tells her to calm down, reminding her that even if she only does makeup, plenty of guys still donate a lot. She doesn't need to humiliate herself for this company. As she comforts her friend, Singwang is just watching. Wen thanks him, then turns to King, telling her not to be too upset. King says it's fine, she just hates that the idiot who treated them that way is actually the boss. Then Wen turns to our boy and says he shouldn't cause trouble on her behalf. Radiant as ever, he simply answers that he didn't like the guy either. She laughs softly, saying she doesn't know if they'll ever see each other again, but she hopes he goes far in life. Our boy is surprised, 2% clothing, 98% skin, and she turned out to be kinder than he expected. She shuts the car door and leaves. Finally, he gets to check how much he earned from this whole insane night. 109,000. Enough to save his mother in the hospital 100 times. At this rate, she'll be immortal soon. He decides to call an Uber, but since it'll take too long, he pays 4,000 to get there faster. And with that, he crashes into sleep. The next morning, someone's banging on the door, saying it's time to pay rent. The protagonist wakes up startled, covering his ears, wondering what kind of hell this is. He just woke up. While the pounding, he gets up, bumping his head along the way. It's still 6 in the morning. From inside, he mutters that he just wanted to sleep a little longer. But when he opens the door, the old landlady scolds him, saying bums like him never pay on time. That's why she has to hunt him down first thing in the morning, otherwise he'll run off. Wang, though, just scans the QR code on her chest, pays a full year in advance, and instantly 10,000 lands in her account. She tries to stay calm, asking herself how this broke school kid suddenly paid it all. Inside, she's about to explode with joy, but on the outside, she mutters there's another 400 in fees. He tells her that extras so she won't bother him for a year and slams the door in her face. He throws himself back onto the bed for a few more hours of sleep. Meanwhile, his buddy downstairs is wondering if his brother hit the lottery. What happened for him to start flexing like this all of a sudden? Our boy then gets a notification. For not putting up with that woman's humiliation, he's awarded a villa in Swan Bay. Out of nowhere, A key materializes in his hand. His buddy notices, staring, thinking, what's going on? Did this kid just turn into a cheater? The protagonist bolts up, tumbles out of bed, and his buddy asks where he's rushing off to. Our boy shoots out like a bullet. His friend yells, "Hey kid, your luggage." But the protagonist calls back that none of that is necessary. Meanwhile, the least loved mother in all of Manhwa is lying there in her hospital bed. The father says Sing Wang sent 100,000, claiming he got a nice salary from a new job. Strange. The mother asks him not to be doing anything illegal just to cover her treatment, but the father insists it's impossible. He's too kind of a boy. Just then, Banana Head opens the door to ask how she's feeling. The mother says it was just a sudden illness, a problem with her organs from surgery, and she'll be fine. She's the optimistic one. The father's right by her side, so there's no reason for the protagonist to worry. Just grab her an apple. But the father's already got one and snaps, "Kid, what are you doing here? Get back to warming up for work before you get fired." The protagonist shoots back, "I quit." Both of them jump in shock, but immediately speedrun the perfect supportive family routine, placing their hands on his shoulders and telling him he's so talented he'll find something better soon. The protagonist, soft-hearted, thinks to himself that this family really is his safe harbor. He then asks if the father paid the hospital bills. The father rests a hand on his shoulder and tells him not to worry. He just borrowed the money. Before long, collectors will come cut off his head and toss it in the river, but hey, no problem. Keep spending at the club, son. Of course, he doesn't actually say that, but the protagonist wants to know exactly who he borrowed from. And maybe it's true, because the father says it was from some relatives. The protagonist presses, asking if it wasn't from that uncle and aunt. Before the father can reply, he cuts him off, demanding he pay those two back immediately. The father tells him not to worry, that he'll handle it soon, and begs him not to do anything too risky. The mother starts crying, saying her illness is ruining their lives. He works so hard, and now he's also stuck paying her hospital bills. She should be grateful they're not in the United States. They're not even the system would cover these medical costs. The protagonist reassures her not to worry, that everything's fine. His new job is paying well, and that 100,000 was nothing. On top of that, he'll bring in the best doctors to take care of her, so she doesn't need to stress. And finally, he decides he's going to take care of that business with the uncle they borrowed money from, because it's never good to owe that man any favors. Outside, he hops on a motorcycle taxi and wonders why the thing wobbles so much. He remembers hearing they were supposed to fix up the roads, so why are they such a disaster? Looks like whether it's China, Brazil, or the US, politics is always the same. The buff old driver says they did fix them, but it ended up worse than before. Turns out whoever got the contract had shady dealings with the officials, and this was the result of them trying to cut corners. Xing Wang just thinks to himself that there really are no laws in this world. In poor neighborhoods, it's always the people who get screwed when it comes to politics. He arrives in front of a giant mansion, and at first I thought it was the one he'd been given. But no, it belonged to those relatives. Xing Wang reflects that if those bastards hadn't stolen all the family's money as compensation during the family split, they never would have had wealth like this. He knocks on the door, and wow, the money was well invested. They fed the girl right. The artist looks at the design and thinks she looks too ordinary. Let me erase a piece of her pants. There, now she's perfect. The protagonist wants to know what she was doing in his uncle's house. The girl's like heavy artillery. What's with those headlights pointing in every direction? Turns out this is the uncle's second house, and he sends word asking what Wang's doing there. The girl, off balance, doesn't know how to answer. Then the fake chat of the story appears, making it pretty obvious what she's really doing there. Xing Wang ignores the couple and demands to know where his uncle is. He's there to pay the debt. The painted-up girl wonders why Wang is so cold. Does he still think about her? Take this slap on the tambourine girl, and the guy tells her to stop staring at every man because soon enough she'll be his wife. What a bastard, living the good life. Protagonist, humiliate him, please. I can only envy one person at a time, not two. And she does exactly what I love most. She humiliates him, saying she was only observing how pathetic he looks in those filthy, brandless clothes, writing about coming to pay a bill. The future couple thanks her, saying that's exactly what he likes, and honestly, I like it too, because their downfall is going to be glorious. Our boy steps into the living room where a bald uncle greets him, saying this is his grandson working in the city now. The thinning hair trio comments that people working in the city make good money. The farmer on the right says he heard old Hu's daughter also works in the city and makes more than 100,000 a month. Young man, you must be earning well too, right? But the future couple cuts in, saying this mule works all month just to earn 100,000. Even folks raising pigs on a farm make about the same. He slaps a hand on Wang's shoulder and says out of that 5,000, there's probably nothing left over. Yeah, he's a bastard, but that was a pretty sharp social critique. There's nothing left for the kid to even pay his bills. But Xing Wang interrupts, saying he didn't come for chatter. He's just here to pay debts. The uncle says, take it easy, boy, I'll charge interest either way. No rush, your family's already struggling. The protagonist replies they don't need that, but the uncle insists, don't be so polite, you work hard, take care of your family. Wang pushes back, listen you bald bastard, I came to pay. The uncle stays focused on his game, saying you've got to enjoy these moments. But if Wang really wants to settle it now, then make the transfer. The future couple hands over the ledger, saying he can't stand seeing the uncle so angry. His blood's going to get thicker than water, and soon enough he'll explode. The bald man says this kid's making a joke out of paying debts, but a second later, a transfer of 51,000 goes through. 50,000 plus 1,000 in interest. That's what the uncle was going to charge. The uncle looks at it, trembling all over, and immediately demands to know where the kid got that kind of money. Our boy turns and tells him to calm down, saying his father works in the city. But the future cuckold cuts in, saying his family is just embarrassing themselves like this. Yesterday they were begging for 50,000, and now he suddenly pulled out 51. He must be up to something shady. And now it's clear why that girl's pants are ripped. This creep is all over her, squeezing without mercy while she says goodbye to the fool. And here it is, the moment the future cuckold starts turning into the present cuckold. She's already outside calling to our boy, telling him to stop acting like they don't know each other. They grew up together, and she knows he's liked her since childhood. But she wants him to understand she only sees him as a little brother, so he better stop thinking about being with her. Sing Wang is taken aback and she keeps talking, saying if people heard the way he was acting, it'd ruin his reputation. The protagonist just stares and asks what nonsense this is about him liking her. She should take a look in the mirror. His records show she's nothing but the biggest tramp. Damn, the girl instantly explodes with rage. He tells her to cut the childhood talk. The only things they ever did were watch cows and catch frogs as kids, nothing special. At least back then, he thought she wasn't the type to sell herself for money, just to humiliate the poor. Really a disappointment. Either way, he realizes she's just good at faking things, so she has nothing to do with him anymore. She wants to turn it back on him, saying, I get it, you can't win me over. So you're just saying this to make me angry? The protagonist is confused and mutters that she's insane. Being ignored only makes her angrier, and she screams at him to stay right there, saying he shouldn't act so high and mighty just because he studies. He's living proof that good grades don't mean anything. He's a failure in life. She says outright she doesn't like poor guys and loves the rich. That's why she's living in a 100-meter house with the best food around. She throws in his face that yesterday the hospital bills were 50 or 100,000 and he couldn't even pay. He's a pathetic broke loser. Sing Wang's patience is gone and he just asks if she's said enough. He tells her it's pathetic. She's like a frog stuck at the bottom of a well, seeing a tiny patch of sky and thinking she's something special. Not even the city girls he's met were this stupid and delusional. The girl's about to snap, ready to slap him, but he just steps back. He says he might not have that much money, and he might not be as charming as her future cuckold, but at least he doesn't have to depend on rich people to take care of him. She should stop trying to humiliate him and take a look in the mirror instead. The system chimes in, saying that because he's breaking her down emotionally and mentally, an apartment will soon be unlocked. The protagonist's confused about that, but grabs her hand and says the two of them should stay trapped together in this house, hurting each other, since neither of them is any good anyway. Brutal. He shoved her down hard. Goodbye to both of them. Later, while he's walking down the street, bam, a car wheel splashes through mud, soaking him. Come on, protagonist. Seriously, pull out the Song Jin-woo system, grab this guy by the neck, drag him out of the car, toss him into a portal where nobody will find the body, and the bastard still has the nerve to offer him a job carrying cement and bricks. Sting Wang just replies that time is fair with everyone. At a nearby construction site, one of the workers tells him he can come back any time. Our boy thanks him, and the system congratulates him for investing in the people around him. I think back when he fought with a redhead. That's when he got those buildings under construction. And now the system is praising him, saying he only needs to do good for the people of this city, and he'll receive even more. He doesn't really get it, thinking that soon enough the whole world will belong to him. Now we're back at the hospital, and he's brought another apple for his mother. The doctor comes in, saying the surgery was a success, her vitals are stable, and she can go home. Sing Wang thinks that's insane. She just had surgery and is still recovering. It makes no sense. They should run more tests. But the shady-looking doctor says her discharge has already been processed and tells the nurse to help her pack up. The protagonist demands to know what he means by that, while his mother warns him to be careful. The doctor insists everything's fine, asking if he doesn't understand she survived, so they should move her out before she keeps draining the hospital's resources. Unbelievable. The protagonist slams the table, pulling out a knife, and the doctor thinks he's about to attack, but he only uses it to slice the apple. The doctor calls him crazy and says he's calling security. His mother tells him they should just go home and not cause trouble. She's comfortable enough. But our boy refuses. She just had surgery and her wounds haven't even healed yet. The doctor argues that the mother understands everything and a good son should obey her. Then he orders the nurses to strip away her poor clothes, saying they bring bad luck. The protagonist's blood is boiling, ready to kill this bastard. He tells his mother to eat the apple and that throwing it away would be a waste, but promises he'll take care of this soon. She begs him not to fight, reminding him these people are ordinary folks. They can't be beaten. But he assures her she doesn't need to worry he won't use force. Meanwhile, the doctor is on the phone saying, everything's ready for your friend's wife. Bring her in. If she wants to stay 100 days, she can. It takes that long for bones to heal. And who's on the other end? The future cuckold, praising Dr. Lei for being so quick. The doctor says, of course, they needed to kick out Xing Wang's poor family since they couldn't compare to true generosity. While this family dragged their feet for half a month just to pay, the other side had already advanced everything. The future cuckold, still nameless though the title suits him, says that idiot Xing Wang thinks he can cause trouble for him, but now he'll be taught a lesson. The doctor, holding the paperwork, thinks the kid actually knows how to do business. The protagonist sees it all and decides that if they want to play with money, then he'll play too. So in the hospital director's office, someone knocks and our boy walks in. He introduces himself as just another patient, and the old man tells him to head to reception, grab a form, and get registered. But Wang explains he's there to discuss donating an apartment building to the hospital. The old man blinks, confused, ready to send him away, until he asks him to repeat that. What's this about construction and how much does it cost? Sizing him up, the director thinks he looks ordinary, just some kid in plain clothes, maybe 20 years old. He must be joking. But Wang tells him not to worry, just say if he's interested. He knows those buildings he's putting up in that little town cost $1 million each, and to him, right now, that's nothing. He says the patients need a new place to recover, and this building would be perfect. All he asks is that people receive the best care and that corruption be investigated. The old man thanks him for caring about the patients and admits it's true. They really do need more beds. But when it comes to corruption, he warns it's best not to say such things without proof. The protagonist counters that because of this lack of beds, some doctors are taking bribes to kick out patients and replace them with ones of higher interest. The director jumps up, shocked, insisting he's run this place for 10 years and they've never once accepted a red envelope. The protagonist then explains about his mother, how she had surgery yesterday, her wounds aren't even closed yet, she needs physical therapy and she's already being forced out of the hospital. The director says he must be joking. There's no way they'd discharge a patient the day after surgery. That would be dangerous. If he wants to make up a story, at least make it believable. The protagonist pulls out a recorder and tells him to listen. Suddenly, the entire conversation between Dr. Lei and the future cuckold plays. The director refuses to believe it, saying it must have been edited. Wang wonders if this guy is an idiot or just covering for everyone. Then he says that whether or not the recording is fake, the building he wants to donate is real. Right away, he calls the engineers from Kang City and asks about Unit 1, then says he wants to build another next to it to serve as a hospital wing. He even requests that a representative be sent to the hospital immediately, since this will be their gift. The old man thinks the kid really loves to pretend. Wang tells him to have a little patience. Sometimes a building really can fall from the sky. Just give it a few minutes, surely that's worth the value of a whole building. Dr. Lai, skeptical, takes out his phone. After all, he knows everyone in this city. But when he hears the voice on the other end, he freezes. It really is Engineer Kang, one of the most respected names in the region, saying the hospital is lucky to receive such a donation. The director is suddenly excited, nodding, saying he understands, thanking him while thinking he never imagined a boy like this was hiding in plain sight. A moment later, our boy asks, if he has the means to donate a building, why would he bother making a fake recording? The director still says one recording isn't enough. Wang answers, then how about two? He stands and declares that if they want to earn this building, all they need to do is remove the doctors who treat ordinary patients without honesty. The old man agrees but asks for his name. Wang replies that he's just a common boy from a farmer's family and his name doesn't matter. But if he really needs a name, then write it down as the messenger of justice. He leaves, and in the director's memory, the man picks up the phone demanding a list of all patients who had surgery and were discharged. A while later, a nurse calls for Dr. Lai. In the very next second, he's on his knees, begging for forgiveness, pleading that he can't lose his job. He has children and a family to support. But the director tells him that when he was destroying other families, he didn't think about that, did he? A doctor without ethics is a disgrace to the hospital and has no place there. Justice served, cut to the house of Hang Dakai the next day. And what a bastard, look at that cushy life, sitting in a chair with his feet being massaged by some enormous terrifying thing. Never in my life would I want something like that. It'd only cause problems. And right then someone barges in to ruin this fool's comfortable life, saying the bastard claimed he had connections, but now his wife has been kicked out of the hospital, tossed out like a dog. He jumps up, splashes water on the poor woman, panicked, insisting there must be some mistake. He'll call his big brother and everything will be fixed. But Dr. Lai isn't answering at all, and Dakai is left wondering what the hell is going on. Back at the protagonist's house, he twists the old saying into something new. If you can't go to the hospital, then the hospital will come to you. His mother thinks it's madness, bringing all these caretakers and medical equipment into the house. It must be expensive. But he tells her not to worry, everything has been covered. Dr. Lai was removed from his conduct, and this is just compensation. His mother nods in understanding while our boy thinks to himself that doing good without expecting anything in return feels pretty good too. Right then, the future cuckold calls, demanding to know if it was him behind all this. He had secured that special hospital bed, spent more than 10,000, and now was all wasted. The mother, confused, asks what Hang Dakai is talking about, while the protagonist smiles inwardly. This bastard just admitted it. He points out that clearly it was Dakai who tried to have his mother kicked out of the hospital. The fool realizes he slipped and quickly says she left because she was already feeling better, that he had nothing to do with it. But soon after, he basically admits Wang must have pulled some trick. Otherwise, why would the hospital be sending so much equipment his way? The protagonist replies exactly. Director Lai was expelled for corruption, and this is compensation. Dakai snaps back that it doesn't make sense. He's the one who should be compensated. He spent years building his hospital connections, and now, because of something Wang did, all his investment is gone. Wang tells him none of it makes sense. He's just a poor kid from the city, while Dakai is the local big shot making millions every year. How could someone like him possibly cause problems? Or maybe Dakai's power in the region isn't as great as he claims. The fool shakes with rage while our boy calmly turns to his mother, telling her to rest because a man like that only brings bad karma. As he leaves, he says there are people who believe dirty money can solve everything in life. Dakai storms off too, spitting curses, saying he hopes the two of them died poor. Wang just looks at him and thinks this bastard truly is evil. Turning back, he tells his mother, "Let's go inside." She worries about what Dakai might try next, but Wang's almost excited to see what move he'll make. Meanwhile, out on the road, Dakai passes Engineer Kang and wonders why he's out here in such a remote place. Back at Wang's home, Kang arrives with gifts, congratulating him on the new roadwork and the buildings under construction. Suddenly, Wang realizes this bastard might expose everything in front of his mother, so he quickly tells Kang not to worry. He plays it off, pretending Kang is just dropping by with a gift because he once helped fix his car. Kang's a little confused, but thanks him anyway, asking if the boy is hiding some relative's identity. Wang pulls him aside and mutters, "Listen, don't ruin this. I'm keeping a low profile here. Don't blow my cover of living quietly." Kang nods, winks, and lets it go, then heads home. Back with the cuckold, he gets a call telling him those planned road repairs he was supposed to oversee don't need him anymore. Shocked, he slams the brakes, saying they must be joking. He's already paid wages to a whole crew. How could they just cut him out like this? But the mustached man on the other end explains that regulations around the construction changed, and this time his team didn't qualify. Nothing more could be done, and he hangs up. Dakai calls for Mr. Zhao with the lines already dead. Meanwhile, the chubby Zhao thinks to himself he doesn't want to side against whoever's standing with Engineer Kang, because that man is the one who's truly dangerous. Next scene, he's already carrying a bag of champagne, or at least it looks like it, telling Mr. Zhao that they had an agreement, right? That he'd be part of the construction project, bring in his workers, and everyone would get their share. But Zhao, with a couple of Troll C plus Troll V girls on his arms, is just ignoring him. Dakai slams the table, saying they can adjust things. He'll take 40% instead of 30%. Zhao glances at him while he keeps pushing, insisting that this must be about Zhao threatening to cut him out just to grab a bigger percentage. He argues qualifications are just a formality anyway. He can pay another company to handle it. They don't need to worry about anything. But Zhao tells him to stop forging qualification documents. And no, those lousy cigarettes he brought aren't going to change his mind. He must think Zhao's a beggar. Dakai, pathetic as ever, insists that's not it. He just wants an honest negotiation. How about 50%? That's definitely worth it. Zhao cuts him off, saying they won't be negotiating anymore. He only causes problems and literally boots him out of the room. Next scene, in another part of the club, he strolls in grinning, only to see our boy sitting there next to Kang. He enters all smiles, saying he's never seen a young man as kind as Wang, helping everyone in the city. But Wang knows this bastard is only acting sweet because he sees profit in him. He's a hypocrite. Out of nowhere, Wang shifts his tone. He says he's no noble kid and he's not interested in this failing town. It's just that his parents are getting older and struggling to walk, so he decided to improve the roads a bit. Then he asks, "Mr. Zhao, these roads won't deteriorate in less than a year, will they?" The man, caught off guard, insists no, they only use quality materials. He quickly adds that there's no need to worry, they'll meet his expectations. Our boy thanks him, saying he hopes not to be disappointed. Zhao, rattled, swears again they'll meet his standards. Looks like Wang was putting on the act of a shadowy gangster, and now Zhao's scared stiff of messing up. The system praises Wang for the way he handled it, spending little but still ensuring everything gets done. He really stuck to his principles, and Wang thinks everything is building up to the perfect day. Something big is coming. Meanwhile, back at the uncle's house, the girl, soon to be the protagonist's housemaid, is yelling at Dakai, calling him a failure who just sits on the couch fiddling with his phone, not even washing a single dish. If she'd known he'd be such a loser, she would have chosen Xingwan. At least he's in the city and actually has a job. Although the horns are starting to itch, his cuckold crown is on the way. He demands she repeat it. She beats her chest, shouting that he really is useless. Even with the bird in hand, he let it fly away. He's worthless. If she'd had the chance, she would have gotten on her knees for Mr. Zhao and never missed that opportunity. He's really trash. She says she'll find Xingwang soon, since they grew up together, and she'll seize the chance she has. Does she expect the protagonist to accept her? No. But are we curious to see how she tries? Definitely. But not right now, because the Kai grabs her by the neck and slams her to the ground. Damn, she's about to take a beating. Back at our boy's house, Engineer Kang hands him a document, and they're asking what it's about, what happened. He explains that the construction will be right next door, and they'll need to use about 1 square meter of their space. As compensation, they'll build a house for them as a bonus. They're confused, thinking it doesn't make sense. How could a bit of noise and 1 square meter be worth so much? But Kang explains that if that's not acceptable, they can also provide a monetary payout instead. The two of them just stand there without knowing what to say. They start thinking this must be incredible luck landing in their lives, so right away they tell Sing Wong to hurry up and give thanks. Fast forward a few days, our boy is heading back to the big city. His mother reminds him to take care of his health and not overwork himself. If he ever feels tired, he can always come back, since soon they'll be in a bigger house anyway. He hugs her and tells her not to worry, that he'll be back soon, and with that he says goodbye. But wait, where's my revenge against the curse-eaten pants girl? In the VIP lounge, waiting for his flight, Miss 2% Clothing calls out to him, asking what he's doing there. He spots the slime girl and explains he's flying home today. She remembers hearing that his mother was sick and asks if she's doing better now. He tells Micro Shorts not to worry and his mother's already recovering. Then he asks what she's doing there. She says she was working on a rural revitalization campaign project and got lucky running into him. He laughs, saying what a coincidence. She asks if he has any plans, which company he's going to work for now, what he'll do, but says it's fine if he doesn't want to share. Wang replies that it's no secret. He's not joining any company because he's starting his own. On top of that, he plans to use all the money he gets from the system to build something right in front of his old boss, just to throw it in his face. Wen says if he needs a photographer or some editors who aren't ridiculously expensive, he can reach out to her. Just then she gets a call and sachets off, hips swinging like a gecko. It's her boss. She answers, and immediately he orders her to start a live stream for a sponsor who doesn't even pay well. She explains she's about to board a plane, plus it's her day off. None of this makes sense. He just laughs, saying she doesn't get to rest, that the company doesn't support her for nothing. If she's going to miss her flight, she can just do a 10-hour stream from the airport. Problem solved. But Wen fires back that she's the one keeping the company afloat, holding a top ranking for the last 6 months. Damn, even his secretary is fierce. These villains are always well equipped. And this bastard says she'll do what he commands as long as she's under contract. And wait, when I mentioned hand, I didn't mean that kind of hand. He threatens that if she says one more word, it'll be considered a breach of contract. She hangs out defeated, saying she understands. At that moment, the protagonist calls out to her from the background and the boss hears Sing Wang's voice. Right away, he sneers, saying now it all makes sense. She's probably not at the airport at all, but naked in bed. Straight up defamation. She quickly says she already posted photos on social media proving she's at the airport, so his claim makes no sense. But he retorts that he'll only believe it if she opens a live stream and proves it. She's startled, drops her phone, and the protagonist asks how much the contract penalty is. He'll pay it. On top of that, he warns the boss that the call was recorded and he'll be sued for defamation. The bastard laughs, saying Wang must be out of his mind. There's no way he has the money for that. But the protagonist just hangs up while the man grinds his teeth in frustration. The slime girl asks Wang if he's serious about what he just said, and tells him not to even think about doing that. She also doesn't want to accept such a huge favor. She insists he doesn't need to worry. The situation at the company isn't that bad. Sure, her boss is a pain sometimes, but she earns plenty. What really doesn't add up in this story is her personality compared to her outfit. Those micro shorts are what throw everything off. And then she says she's already saved up quite a bit, so little by little she can pay off that contract debt. Wang tells her not to worry. He's starting his own media company. She can consider it as an opportunity, like a buyout value for her to switch companies. He looks a bit confused, wondering if he's lost his mind. He adds that they can even do a special contract. Half of the earnings go to her, and the other half goes to paying off her debt from leaving that company. Once everything's paid, they'll switch to 70-30. She smiles, saying he has a noble heart, while he asks if maybe 70-30 is too little. She shakes her head and says no. Actually, that's pretty good, and he didn't even need to help her this much. A 50-50 contract would have already been more than enough, and since he's covering her debts, a 20% cut would have been the normal thing. Wang replies that she was the only one in the company who never treated him badly, so he's willing to return the kindness. Besides, he sees a bright future in her, so this is an opportunity for both of them to make money together. Or rather, what he really wants is for her to change companies so he can make more money. She's blushing hard, overwhelmed, thinking he's saying it for her sake, even though she knows she's the one being truly benefited here. Still, she smiles and agrees. Cut to the company building, our boy has arrived face to face with the boss. The boss sneers that the girl needs to wake up, her mind must be corrupted by pleasure, and she must have convinced herself this broke kid actually has money to pay for her contract, as if a guy who just got fired could cover her debts. The protagonist cuts him off, telling him to shut up and just call the legal department. He's not here to argue. The boss stands up, asking if Wang even knows how much her contract is worth. He knows the kid came into some money recently, but anyone who gets rich overnight loses it just as fast. If he makes this move, he'll end up ruined and drowning in debt. Wang pats his hand on the table and replies that money is a renewable resource. The more you spend, the more you get. So there's nothing to worry about. Yeah, easy for you to say when you've got a system, you bastard. He asks the boss if he's afraid. He looks shaken, maybe insecure that Wang really does have the cash. The boss stumbles, saying Wang isn't even opening a company and he'll just fail once he tries. So that's not it. The protagonist just responds that he's starting to feel worried about the boss's future. He looks rattled. The man yells at him to shut up, reminding him he used to be just a dog obeying orders. Wang warns that if he dares say that again, he could face a defamation lawsuit. Scene shifts to the conference room. Contracts are on the table, ready to sign. Wen is still a bit hesitant while the boss asks if she's really going through with this madness. She's throwing herself away for scraps, and later she'll come crawling back begging for money. She just shrugs and says she doesn't care, then slaps down her signature. The boss is fuming, asking when the payment will be made. There's no need to act all generous, just pay up so he can release Wen. The protagonist calmly says the payment went through a minute ago. If he doesn't believe it, he can ask the finance department. Then Wang walks up to the window and says he sees a bright future ahead. The system congratulates him, saying he's learning the essence of the more money you spend, the more money you earn. Now that draining from the old company is complete, he receives a reward of 999. Sometime later outside, King calls out to the slime girl, saying she heard Wen quit. So will they still be able to see each other in the future? Wen hesitates, and the protagonist chimes in, asking why not. After all, they're going to be in that building right across the street, so all she'll have to do is take a short walk over. King doesn't really get it, but just then he has to answer a call. It's the person who prepared the building documents, telling him to come pick them up. He thanks them, saying he's looking forward to the visit, and adds that he needs to go check it out. He waves goodbye to the two girls, who just stand there smiling as he hops into a taxi and leaves. Wen then reveals that it was our boy who paid the penalty for her resignation, and King is left shocked that he really had that much money. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Then the scene shifts to a building where someone is ordering people not to be disrespectful to the VIP client, and want to be under that table right now. And the girl says this negotiation's performance is crucial for the market. The guy standing by the model tells her not to worry, he'll make sure everything goes smoothly. Suddenly, a bunch of people are running through the hallway. The old guy says Mr. Wang bought a 300 million villa. See that? Everyone better treat him with a lot of attention. He turns to the girl and tells her to be extra attentive, but she's nervous. Who is this guy? Show me a picture of him. The blonde guy replies that he's some mysterious tycoon. No one has a photo of him. She should know that people this rich hide their presence. The girl says she gets it, and the guy orders everyone not to leave a single speck of dust in the place. Then the car pulls up and the protagonist gets out, seeing everyone just standing there waiting for him. Only he doesn't know it's for him. He thinks they're waiting for, I don't know, the company boss or something like that. So he starts walking inside. He notices it's a ridiculously fancy sales office, but weirdly enough, there's not a single employee around. He looks around and sees the location is really good and the place itself seems super luxurious. Then the girl shows up asking what kind of house he's interested in. She can show him around, but the manager storms in. Oh, Irene, you idiot. Get over here. Didn't I tell you not to let anyone in? Why'd you let this broke guy walk inside? She tries to explain he's still a customer, but he cuts her off, telling her to shut up because the VIP client is about to arrive and they'll look like fools with this broke guy standing there. She thinks that doesn't make sense. They should have just closed the store or put up a sign then. The guy just tells her to leave it to him, that he'll handle this. He knows this kid can't possibly have money to spend. So what's he doing here? Making the place look bad. Right away, he starts talking trash at the protagonist. Some people don't know their own worth. This place is for buying, not just standing around staring forever. The protagonist, a little confused, asks if he's talking to him. The guy ignores him completely and tells Irene to clean where the protagonist just stepped because it's making the place dirty. Why, however, answers back, saying how's he supposed to know if the stuff here is good or not if they won't even let him take a look. The guy snaps that he'll be blunt, then asks what a kid wearing 200 yuan clothes thinks he's doing, coming in here like he's going to buy something. The protagonist answers that the people running this place clearly aren't very good at negotiating if they judge others just by appearances. The guy tells him to screw off, that he's just mad because he can't afford anything. The protagonist says fine and pulls out his phone. At that moment, someone calls asking if the protagonist has arrived at the sales office. If there were any doubts, they should just say so. The manager freezes. He recognizes that voice immediately. The protagonist then says the person who was supposed to be helping him is embarrassing him right now. He was considering this place, but maybe he'll just cancel the transaction today. The girl begs him to stay calm, says she'll be right back, and runs off wondering what just happened. She doesn't understand what's going on, but asks him to wait just a little longer. She hops into a taxi and tells the driver to floor it, while freaking out about what that idiot manager must be doing with her VIP client. Man, this girl's a rocket. She gets there super fast. Meanwhile, the manager is panicking, fumbling with his phone trying to figure out what's going on. Looks like he's completely lost. He's ordering the staff to start cleaning again. Even Wang is finding this strange. Judging by the manager's reaction, he figured the guy must have recognized the voice, And now the guy is grabbing Iron by the ears, yelling that she's getting fired because he's going to lose his job thanks to her. The poor girl is crying, saying she can't lose her job, while the manager shoves the protagonist, telling him to get out of there. The higher-up manager was on her way. It would be humiliating to have him still in the store. Right at that moment, the purple one shows up, and the guy keeps hassling our boy, telling him to get lost. Then he notices Miss Lai greets her, but she completely ignores him. He figures she must be furious, and is about to tear into him. But instead, she walks over, introduces herself to our boy as Lai Wanying, and apologizes, saying she feels deeply hurt by how everyone there treated him. The guy is stunned and suddenly starts to realize what's going on. Wanying keeps apologizing while Iron just now figures out that he was the VIP client. Wanying insists that at their company they treat everyone equally, regardless of financial status. Obviously, that's not what actually happens here. But the blonde guy, he's not backing down. He yells that no way, the manager must have lost her mind, this guy can't possibly be rich. She shuts him up, saying she's told him 1,000,000 times not to underestimate any client. That's when the guy realizes he really screwed up, and Wanying says he's way too arrogant for someone selling her houses. Then she says, "Goodbye. Starting tomorrow, you don't need to come back to work." Right then, the guy drops to the floor and starts the classic begging routine. Says he's got a kid, an old father, bills to pay, everything. Oh, but he still wants to walk out on top. Look at that face he's making. He keeps begging, saying he can't lose his job, but she just tells him he should have thought about that sooner. The guy literally crawls over to our boy, apologizing and asking for a second chance, while Iron is standing there shaking, thinking she's next. But Sing Wang ignores the guy completely and says to promote the attendant, make her the new manager. The guy is dumbfounded, asking if he's really losing his position to Irene. But Wanying has already turned around, told Irene she's now in charge, and left. Poor Irene is left standing there, still processing, wondering if she really just got promoted. The system congratulates our boy and says that for standing up against discrimination, he gets a heart. He's a bit confused. He wants something practical, not a heart. What kind of reward is that? But the system tells him not to underestimate the reward. You never know what might come with it. Boom. The scene shifts to where his new house is going to be. And damn, the kid's basically got a castle. The gates swing open and look at that. Even Cheyenne Verdi is standing there on the right side. She tells our boy not to worry, the gates have automatic recognition. One of the staff brings over a suitcase and hands it to him. When he opens it, it's a red envelope, the property ownership certificate. He picks it up, notices how fancy it feels, pockets it, and tells her to keep showing him around the house. She's shocked that this guy isn't even checking the contract for a 300 million house. She starts explaining the designs, the European gardens, the imported furniture, but quickly notices he doesn't seem very interested. He probably just likes keeping a low profile because he's afraid of getting kidnapped. Makes sense. The protagonist, wandering around the garden, is mostly thinking about planting beets and other food crops, stuff his parents would enjoy eating. He's thinking it might be better to make some changes, and she tells him any idea he has, just say it, and they'll modify the place. He's planning on bringing his parents there and stops to think about how to make everything more practical for them. Meanwhile, the system says that because he was bold enough not to be satisfied with something that costs 300 million, he gets a bonus and unlocks a new ability. On top of that, he unlocks a new skin. Wait, what? Is he gonna change heads now? Wanying, meanwhile, is wondering if even the best botanical garden in the world wouldn't be enough to please this boy. He compliments her, saying that buying a place like this at his age shows his future is limitless. Apparently, their CEO was so impressed by the kid's kindness that he's eager to meet him as soon as he gets back from his trip. Wanying tells her to take it easy. There's no need to go that far, he barely even spent any money. She keeps smiling, saying it's great to have his support, but inside she's wondering what kind of madness it is to spend 300 million and call it nothing. But the truth is, the protagonist didn't spend a thing. The system bought it for him. Now he's finally entering the main part of the house. Inside, there's a girl with some bracelets asking Uncle Jean who bought the villa. He says it's a young man named Wang, looks like he's in his 20s. The blonde girl is surprised, and the butler asks if they should look into the kid's background. But she says it's better not to. Anyone who casually buys a 300 million house isn't ordinary. She stands up and tells them to find a suitable gift because they'll visit him another day. And she's the skinniest girl I've ever seen in any manhwa. Next chapter, fireworks. Everyone's celebrating. Not because of the mansion, but because it's the grand opening of our boy's company. Time to make that slime girl sweat on those live streams and start making money. And just because I said that, we cut to 3 months ago, back when she asked why she wouldn't have to stream. He explained that a good blade is meant for the strongest enemies, basically saying she was too good to waste at the start of the company. That's why, in the beginning, she was going to work in recruitment to find some new tough girls, and part of what they earn would go to her. She thinks that's a bit much, but he tells her of course not. She's the dancing heroine, meaning everyone wants to be like her. So she got a talent for spotting which girls are the real deal, and she's going to help him fill the place with dancing girls. She tells him not to worry. She'll find all the surgeons, scientists, and doctors in China and bring them here. Then the scene shifts to the rival boss, who's looking at some company called Dujin Media that seems to be signing a bunch of new streamers. He thinks it's hilarious. who these days even starts a new streaming platform. They must think the streaming world is easy. It's funny to him that they actually think they can compete. But just then, the least intimidating gangster in the world walks in asking what's up with Dujin Media setting up shop right across the street. Are they crazy trying to compete? This guy turns out to be the boss's uncle, who stands up, surprised to see him back so soon, and asks him to sit down. But the uncle says they should do what they always do and remind everyone who runs the streaming industry. The boss just nods like a dog and says he understands. Meanwhile, our protagonist is being shown interior design proposals, but he doesn't look very interested. Everything looks awful to him. Besides, he's already got a 300 million mansion. That's more than enough. Right at that moment, the slime girl bursts through the door saying all their streamers just got hit with a PK. You know those dual requests from the cat company's girls. The problem is that most of those girls have at least 1 million followers, so their newbies are going to get crushed, and she urges him to take a look. In the group chat, all the girls are panicking, saying they're scared, they're going to get destroyed and humiliated. But Wang says this is an old trick. Girls with millions of followers challenging fresh newbies to a 1-to-1. I still ask myself every day if this really happens in China, because no way that's normal. But Wang knows the intention is to get other viewers comfortable with criticizing those new girls who just started. And right then he asks if a PK isn't basically just about who spends more money. If that's how it works, then accept right now. Slime Girl asks if he's planning to fire off rockets on every single girl who just joined the company. He says no, he'd never waste such a delicious little prank like that. She had already figured it out, like always the boy was going to go over the top, and maybe when she got that gift in the past, it really had been from him. The kid, pulling an old man face, says that money has no value if it just sits in your hand. In the end, if you don't use it, it's just numbers on a screen. Damn, is this kid Socrates or something? But she's standing there saying it makes no sense. He's just going to lose money. Most of it will go straight to the platform. She's starting to get worried he might go bankrupt at this rate. But the philosopher won't stop. First, he says life is just a handful of autumns. Plus, he came into this world with nothing, and when he leaves, he's not taking anything with him. Besides, this chance is a good one. If they win, it's the perfect way to put their company's name out there in a huge scandal everyone will hear about. And he trusts that she hired the best astronauts, surgeons, and engineers, so this chance is perfect. Slime Girl is falling for it, realizing that from a marketing point of view, this really is a golden opportunity. Future bathwater sellers are asking Slime what they should do, saying that if they accept this PK, they'll lose. But the queen tells everyone to just accept it right now. No shaking hips involved, and they all hit, accept. In the end, when our protagonist checks his phone, there they are, shaking back and forth on stream, taking fire from one side and getting blasted from the other. Everyone's curious. Who is this Dujin group? Looks like they're going head-to-head with the Mio group. That's insane. Mio are the top dogs. But Wang is just thinking about what furniture he's going to buy, what else he wants. He doesn't care at all. That's when Slime Girl rushes in saying they're getting destroyed. Mio came fully prepared. She asks if maybe it's time to start investing a bit to pull the girls out of the pit. But he says no. They need to conserve energy and wait a little longer. When the tension is at its peak, when everyone is laughing at them, that's when they'll strike. Then he tells her to go back and make sure the engineer's mental state is solid, because they can't get discouraged. Meanwhile, across the street, the rival boss is popping champagne, saying nothing feels better than celebrating early when the victory is already in the bag. He doesn't care that they lost Slime. They're about to make a ton of money and prove they're still on top. But the uncle in the corner tells him to cut it out. They're beating a company that just opened and he's celebrating something this stupid. And the uncle isn't dumb. He's thinking losing Slime was actually a huge blow, even if she did pay back all her debts. Right then, he sees a post online where people are saying that the one behind Dujin is actually Slime. Looks like a shareholder paid off her debts, joined forces with her, and that's why the girls look kind of resembled her a bit. Right away, the uncle orders him to explain why they lost their top streamer to the competition. The boss is completely shaken. He can't let his uncle know he messed up. He tries to keep his pride, saying, "That fool was tricked by that rich guy who paid her debts, but soon enough she'll realize she's not qualified to run a company." I thought the uncle was about to rip him apart, but he actually says the guy makes sense. But just then, someone bursts through the door saying a huge donation just came in. The boss has déjà vu. He remembers those rockets he got hit with before. He says, "Relax, nobody's going to invest 30 million just to win this little fight. Makes no sense. These girls just started." But the uncle just looks at him and says there's no way they can lose. It must not lose. The boss insists he guarantees it. That will never happen. But the guy holding the phone shows him that the rockets are already flying again. The boss forces a calm smile and says it's just a wave, then immediately orders his grandson to put an end to the fight. Back at the company, Slime is stunned at how fast our boy's fingers are moving. Every time he spends, the system rewards him, obviously, and she's begging him to slow down, saying he's already spent enough, maybe chill a bit. In PK battles, there's a little bar that shows the score, but he spent so much more than the others that their bar is tiny, almost invisible. The guy is just hopping from livestream to livestream, dropping 500 rockets, 500 rockets, 500 rockets, then 5,000 rockets. She's sure now it must have been him that day. But he's calm, saying he's just showing them how it's done. She, however, is thinking this is already way past the limit. Then he suddenly calls for her. She gets up, wondering what his order is. He tells her to remember their plan, to become untouchable. She says she understands, so he tells her to go back and pump up the girl's spirits. As soon as she leaves, he looks at the tablet, saying that's the style he wants. Apparently, the kid wants to turn part of his company into a nightclub. Right then, he checks his phone and sees he has more than enough money to pull it off. Meanwhile, at other media companies, everyone's trying to figure out who this Doujin group is. Even the platform that owns the app must be raking in cash, the Tiger Guys, as they call them. People are saying they've never seen anyone grow so fast before. All those streamers gain 2 million followers each in a single day. Back at our boys' company, the rockets keep raining down on the girls who are completely worn out, sweaty, exhausted, jaws dropped. The moment he walks in, they all rush over, wanting to talk to him, give him a bro hug. But he tells them to calm down. Their earnings from those contracts would be divided according to what they had agreed on earlier. They had been worried that he might take all their winnings since he was the one who spent the money. The system praises his kindness and gives him 500 coins. He grabs the damn thing and demands to know why the values are so random. While the girls are celebrating, Slime just stands there watching. Meanwhile, the Mio group is not happy at all. They're reading all the comments, tearing them apart. They picked a fight with a brand new company and still lost every PK match. Right then, a secretary comes in saying maybe they should change their name. Doujin just posted something saying it'd be better if they did, though she doesn't know why. The boss is furious, while one of the guys is trembling. The secretary leaves, and the boss immediately slaps him, demanding to know how he disappears for 5 days and turns the company into a laughingstock. The guy lying there mutters that they profited off her departure, and the boss makes him repeat it. If Gao Wen were still at the company, none of this would have happened, since she was the one who recruited those girls. He drops into his chair, thinking this chaos came out of nowhere. How did they lose a girl like that? And now this damn guy shows up just to wreck their company. The ex-boss has his hand on his face, saying that guy looked like a loser before. But the current boss tries to play the nice guy, saying he's told them 1,000 times not to discriminate between the rich and the poor. He also heard that they gave Gao Wen a hard time back when she was here, and she was their top streamer. The guy tries to argue, saying he did it in front of everyone and no one complained, which earns him a flying kick on the spot. Back at Doujin Media, Gao Wen is asking if it's really okay for him to spend so much money, 1.6 billion. But he says it wasn't a big deal. He only spent 200 million. The rest came from fans. Oh, okay then. Guessed he didn't go that crazy. She still thinks that's not exactly a small amount, while Hang is quietly thinking that he never imagined he'd ever say something like that wasn't much. But then he tells her to relax. This sacrifice will bring way more profit in the future. She should be smiling because what's waiting for them is brilliant. Just like the saying, success creates more success. He just wants to keep that momentum going. From here on out, things are only going to get easier until they reach the top. His phone rings, it's the renovation company, and he tells Slime he's heading out. He says his goal is to make money together with everyone so that everybody can be happy. At least that troublemaker is smiling non-stop now. And wait a second, we're already 30 chapters in and our protagonist hasn't made a move yet. Damn this guy. The scene switches to his house, where a bunch of workers are turning the mansion into a nightclub. He's barking orders, telling them to pour cement here, do this, do that, when a butler shows up all cheerful, saying he's a neighbor and came by to visit. Our boy recognizes him right away. Definitely the butler from next door. The guy looks so refined. Maybe he should get a butler too. Or better yet, a maid. That would be nice. He apologizes for being covered in dust, but the man says it's no problem and hands him a box, premium wild mountain ginseng. Our boy says he's very kind and promises to stop by for a visit soon. Later that day, he's exhausted. Well, as exhausted as you can get just bossing people around. Then he gets a call with the most classic invite ever, a school reunion. There's always one of these, and he knows exactly what these reunions are about, a chance for the successful ones to humiliate the ones who are struggling. But it's not like he has anything to fear now. He smiles and says sure, he'll go this year. The person on the other end seems surprised, wondering if he agreed so quickly just because a certain someone will be there too. Back with the butler, he says the young man seemed kind and polite, didn't look down on him for just being a butler. Plus, he took off his gloves and cleaned his hands before accepting the box, which shows he's well-mannered. Wait, are they investigating our boy? Get out of here with that. Right then, the skinny girl senses something off, and when she looks back, there's a copy-paste couple walking in. Must be the new clown in the story. She warns them again that she's told them 1,000 times not to come here. The blonde guy asks, what's Zhao Zhao talking about? What kind of attitude is this? This here is her future daughter-in-law. And this blonde, she must be the crocodile tear type. She immediately asks if Zhao Zhao has something against her or if this is some kind of misunderstanding. Zhao Zhao turns away while Yuliu says she's just stirring up trouble between them, so she should leave. But the guy puts a hand on her shoulder and tells her that his sister is just being dramatic. She doesn't need to worry. Zhao Zhao, however, is still angry, and the guy asks if she's jealous. He reminds her that if she wants to inherit the family fortune, she has to get married. Zhao Zhao just laughs. brushing off the jealousy talk, saying she just turned 20 and marriage is the last thing on her mind. She's not some opportunist who would marry just anyone just to get an inheritance. Besides, not just anyone can be part of the Ping family, and you should know that their grandfather won't approve of this. Finally, we get to the day of the school reunion. You just know our protagonist is about to get mocked by like 15 people, embarrassed to hell, just so he can pull an Uno reverse at the end. Slime waves goodbye, says she'll pick him up later and leaves while he's got this feeling that today he's going to make a lot of money. That's when he notices 3 people standing outside. The one in red immediately recognizes Wang and asks why he just got out of a luxury car. The red-haired friend next to him says it must be some rich old lady. But the other one says it's not always a woman, sometimes it's a guy. The world is very open these days. There are lots of possibilities. The protagonist, though, steps right in and throws fuel on the fire, saying that if he can land a rich sugar mama, it's because he's capable. Clearly, they're just not. The blonde snaps back, saying she's not jealous of something gross like that. If she wanted, she could get an old man too, but she's not interested. The protagonist grins and says he knows she married the director of a certain factory, even stole the guy's wife's spot and became the stepmom to his kid. So yeah, that man wasn't exactly young. Right then, a black car pulls up and Yu Liu steps out with her new guy. Everyone clearly recognizes her as a goddess, and they're all shocked she's involved with the Ping family. One of the guys gives the protagonist a playful punch on the back and says he heard he only came because of her. Why don't you show you've got guts and say hi? He just says sure, walks over and greets her. She's a little embarrassed, kind of shy. Then our boy casually says that his girlfriend is a bit jealous, so they can keep talking if they want. He's heading inside. Obviously, the group of 5 standing there are thinking he just embarrassed himself. Yuli waves goodbye to her guy, who hands her his phone, and Dan looks at the size of that dude's hands, and leaves. The girl in the red dress says she's impressed, that she wishes she could find someone so amazing. Yulia thanks her. Cut to upstairs. Everyone's drinking and having a good time, while our protagonist is chilling quietly off to the side. At another table, a guy is bragging, saying the economy's rough this year. I only managed to buy 1 floor of the building across from City Hall. Another guy goes, damn, that's crazy. You must be loaded now, huh? Eh, not really, he replies. Meanwhile, at the girls' table, one of them is flashing her ring, saying her dream was to become a housewife, and she's about to make it happen. All the copy-paste girls are full of envy, saying no wonder the ring's huge. She landed one of the Ping family boys. The blonde is just leaning back, gloating, saying nothing feels better than seeing these poor girls jealous of her. Cold-blooded. Meanwhile, the protagonist is on his phone checking out the construction project for the hospital building he's gifting. It looks nearly done. The guys in the corner want to know why he's just staring at his phone. What's wrong, man? Come hang out with the crew. You sad just because the goddess is getting married. Wang says there's no reason to be sad. They'll just wish her well, and if he's invited to the wedding, he'll bring a gift. The red-haired guy pipes up, saying they all know he's broke. How's he gonna bring a gift to a high-class wedding when he only makes $5,000 a month? Damn, everybody really knows his salary. Must be minimum wage or close. But the protagonist, itching to stir the pot, jumps up all excited and says that yeah, he's working hard and will even work more overtime. He's giving it his all to make this world a better place. Naturally, the whole room bursts out laughing. The laughter takes over the place, everyone saying that his hard work must have fried his brain. The protagonist just stands there, not really getting what's so funny, while they tell him to chill, saying it's just a joke, calm down. Obviously, his job is amazing. Our boy thanks them for the compliment, then says they should enjoy their drinks because he's heading home. The place is under renovation and the crew working there has some questions for him, so he's going to help out. But the red-haired guy asks where this house of his is and begs him not to leave so soon. He also says that once the house is finished, he should throw a party. The protagonist says his house is in Sang City, but it's too small to host everyone. The guy insists that's impossible. Even starving for 2 years straight, he still wouldn't have enough money for a place like that. The protagonist just says, yeah, that's true. But just as he's about to leave, the blonde in the tight dress calls him out, telling him to stop trying to run out on the bill. He looks confused and says that when they post the bill in the group chat, he'll send the payment. But she yells that a bottle of wine there costs over $1,000. This is one of the best restaurants, and she's sure that when they put the bill up, he won't pay. The protagonist, though, just makes a $10,000 payment on the spot and tells her to quit bothering him because he wants to leave. I thought everyone would be shocked, but nope. The whole room bursts out laughing, saying this idiot never learns. He worked 2 whole months just to blow $10,000 trying to impress people. Then the blonde stands up and says him trying to act like he has something only makes him look even more pathetic. Dan, he's actually getting humiliated. Even as the protagonist, things are rough. The blonde even stands up and says, give the poor guy's payment back, everyone. I'll cover his share later. Meanwhile, in her head, she's thinking she's really nailed it. She's radiating the aura of a beautiful, kind-hearted princess now. But the protagonist has overheard plenty of stories about how she humiliates other people, so he knows this is fake as hell. He tells her not to worry that $10,000 doesn't mean anything to him. The copy-paste girls, though, tell them to just accept it and stop being ungrateful. Ran Yuliu, clearly feeling humiliated, says she never imagined he'd act so recklessly. The protagonist turns around and says just because people call her a goddess, that doesn't mean she gets to act like some divine savior. Since they're old classmates, he wasn't trying to embarrass anyone, but clearly everyone here is shameless. Then he turns to the waiter and says he's paying the bill for this entire place. But that guy who was bragging about buying the floor of that building tells him he's not even qualified. Only people with a VIP card can pay. The protagonist tells them to go ahead and call the manager because he wants to settle the damn bill, but the purple-haired guy hesitates, saying they can't call the manager. Even the others egg him on, secretly eager to see Wang embarrass himself. Moments later, the manager arrives and our boy asks if it's true that only VIPs can pay the bill. The guy says yes. What the hell? You got to be VIP just to pay the bill. Man, if it were me, I'd eat and walk out without paying then. Wang then says he wants a card, but the trio start laughing, saying what a joke. He has no idea how expensive one of those is. Wang offers 500,000 for the card, but the guy still says it's not about money. This hotel has its principles. Everyone's cracking up, saying this kid must think he's in some drama acting like that. Then Wang offers 10 million. The guy starts trembling while the protagonist just sits back down at the table, saying that honestly he doesn't even care about the VIP card anymore. He just wants to buy a meal and eat in peace. The guy scratches his chin, puzzled. This kid doesn't look rich, so what kind of person drops 10 million just for a single meal? He walks up and says this joke has gone far enough, but Wang pulls it out and tells him to take it. The friends catch a glimpse of the gold card and say it's all scratched up. Normally, rare cards like this are kept pristine because they're so hard to get. Clearly, they think it's either covered with stickers or just a fake card. Everyone is sure he's gone crazy. Poverty must have fried his brain. The card gets scanned while everyone keeps laughing, saying it's hilarious watching him pretend to be rich. Then suddenly, the cashier twitches and announces it was successful, and the manager nearly has his soul leave his body. The man actually blushes, asking if 10 million really went through. Our boy says, well, it looks like he can finally enjoy his meal in peace, right? The manager, heart practically bursting, says absolutely, and then announces to everyone that unfortunately, they all have to leave the restaurant. And of course, the system congratulates him right away for treating money like it's just numbers on a screen. That friend from earlier, the one who was bragging, wants to know what's going on. Why are they kicking everyone out? They were all classmates. Another girl, the cute one sitting on the left, says that everyone here is influential in the city and warns that he's about to make a lot of enemies. But the protagonist says he knew from the moment he was invited that their goal was to humiliate him, and he has no problem if they want to be his enemies. But he asks the same question back, aren't they worried about having me as an enemy? Damn, that blonde with the little cross earring is prettier than all the main girls so far. Artists, you're wasting the good designs on side characters. While they're all busy talking, someone barges in saying not to worry because the hero has arrived. He immediately sits down next to the blonde, who asks why he's back so soon and if there was a problem. He says she doesn't need to worry. She's his #1 priority. Right away, everyone is convinced that if there's a showdown between Master Ping and the boy sitting there, the kid will be crushed. Wang realizes this guy was invited specifically to make things harder for him. And that name Ping, it sounds weirdly familiar. He's pretty sure that butler from earlier had the same name. Ping then asks if Mr. Wang only had 10 million in his account and now is about to embarrass himself. At the same time, he tells his girlfriend to relax, that the opponent doesn't look very strong. She thanks him, saying she finally feels safe. The protagonist glances over and says he thought this was just going to be a casual chat between classmates, but it seems like some people want to interfere. So he says he should thank them, pulls out his card and tells the manager to charge another 5 million to get that guy out of the room. The restaurant manager, honest as ever, is thinking that while the gods fight, he profits. But Ping raises him 15 million and 1. The protagonist calls for 20. Ping replies with 20 million and 1. The system urges our boy to keep going, telling him to win this battle. Meanwhile, Yuli was looking toward her future with her boyfriend, thinking that being with a rich man really does take a lot of problems off your shoulders. The protagonist finally says enough, charge 30 million, he's done with this. Once again, the side characters have better designs than the main girls. What's going on here? Everyone is telling the boy to stop, saying he's about to be humiliated by Ping. But after hearing 30 million, Ping hesitates. He's trembling inside. The kid is really spending 30 million just to have this private room and a meal. His original plan was to spend all this money and then explain to everyone that it was an investment, that it was all just a joke. But 30 million is insane. You can't invest that much in a place like this. It's not like you can just print money. Well, the protagonist basically can. So you might as well give up. The waitress brings back our boy's card, and the manager confirms that 30 million is the final amount. He starts counting, going once, going twice. Ping knows that this broke kid must not be using his own money. And worse, he knows he only did this because of that damn Yuliu. But honestly, she's not worth all this either. The protagonist, though, smirks and asks what the problem is. Aren't you going to do 30 million and 1? Then his phone rings. He says he has to take an urgent call. It's his sister, demanding to know what he just spent 20 million and 1 on. Did he invest in a hotel or something? He tells her to stop bothering him. It's none of her business. She says she's not trying to pry. It was their grandfather who asked. Now things are getting complicated for him. And this sister, who honestly is way less attractive than all the side characters upstairs, says she's arrived at the hotel and is going to see him in person. Ping realizes he's being followed and knows that if they discover his weakness, his family, he'll be humiliated here. The protagonist presses on, asking if they can get back to negotiating. But then he turns and says they're all going insane doing all this just over a meal. He's done playing this stupid game. The red-haired guy puts a hand on his head and says, Ping, for God's sake, don't do this. You're embarrassing yourself. The blonde guy loses it and tells him to repeat that while the other guy tries to calm him down, saying if it's about the money, they can just refund everything. No need to stress. Ping glares back at him and says to take it up with his secretary. Meanwhile, the protagonist is just sitting there smiling, saying this is getting boring. He thought this guy was going to be a real threat, but compared to firing off rockets on live streams, this is nothing. Then the other blonde tells Yuliu to help out, saying Wang is being humiliated. But she just freezes, not knowing what to do. She shouldn't have come to this reunion. Now she's been humiliated in front of everyone. She grabs her boyfriend's arm and says, babe, spend a little more money. We're being humiliated here. He slaps her across the face. Then he says she dragged him here just to cause trouble, and that their relationship is over. She should get out of his life. She's completely shaken, asking if he didn't promise they'd grow old together and have 73 kids. What happened? He just says the only reason he wanted kids with her was because she was pretty, so the kids would look decent. Other than that, all she ever brings is embarrassment, so she's not worth it. Juan cuts in, asking if he can finally eat in peace now, and the guy says yes. Then the blonde guy says that kid better hope he never runs into the Ping family again in Sang City. Suddenly, the door swings open. Zhao Zhao walks in asking what her big brother is doing here. Looks like she realized the family was embarrassing itself and showed up ready to clean house. She announces she's investing $2 million into the Shenwei Hotel. Smart move, she took it from just the restaurant to the entire place. Everyone is impressed. The young lady of the Ping family really doesn't let her family lose face. And clearly, she has more influence than that fool ever did. Then she tells the manager to clear everyone out. She has something to discuss with Mr. Wang. The room goes quiet. What does she have to talk about with that guy? Now everyone's wondering if Wang is some secretly filthy rich hare who's been hiding it his whole life. The protagonist is intrigued, thinking she seems interesting. The manager calls everyone out and she tells the blonde idiot to go back home. Their grandfather wants to speak with him. The room is silent. Nobody wants to make things worse. The guy bolts out the door, with his ex shouting after him to wait. She realizes she really messed up this time, but promises herself it won't happen again. She tells Wang he doesn't need to worry. But Zhao Zhao just tells the girl that if she wants to live peacefully in this city, she better stop messing with the Ping family. Then she storms out. The guy is left standing there humiliated, while the manager says he'll leave the two young people to talk and walks out. Now the girl starts moving closer to our boy. All right, time to get things started. Billions have already been spent. Time to climb up the rankings of China's biggest ballers. He's all flustered, saying, "It's an honor to meet you." Damn, she looks like a titan looming over the giant table between them. And of course, she already knows he's the one living in the house next door. She mentions sending that gift, saying it was nothing. Our boy thanks her, saying he'll send her a gift in return, while she apologizes for what her brother did. She says the Ping family doesn't like using their power to hurt others. Her brother just loves embarrassing himself. She explains she only invested that amount into the hotel to keep the family name from getting dragged through the mud and stop people from gossiping. Then she swears never to cause trouble again, raises her glass, takes a sip, and says that with this, it's settled. The protagonist drinks too, apparently, and wants to know what exactly the Ping family wants with him. She replies that it's nothing serious. She just wanted everyone out of the room so they could be there alone. He's a bit confused, like, what do you want exactly? She says she doesn't want anything and tells him to eat, especially since the food was expensive. So the protagonist eats everything while wondering, what the hell is this girl thinking? Is she really satisfied just watching him eat? She's even stranger than he expected. Then he asks, seriously, Miss Ping, there's really nothing you need to discuss. She simply replies that they don't know each other well enough for her to have anything to settle with him, so of course not. He thinks that makes sense, but having her just stand there watching him eat feels uncomfortable. At that moment, Slime calls, saying she's finished her errands and asks where he is. He picks up excitedly, tells her he's on the second floor, and invites her to come. Then he goes to the door and says his friend just arrived. Slime walks in all cheerful, asking how dinner's going. But she looks confused seeing that there are only two people there. Wasn't this supposed to be a class reunion? Right then, Zhao Zhao seems to realize something, says she just remembered she has things to take care of, and says goodbye. The two of them are left a bit puzzled. She just left so suddenly. A bit later, Slime asks if Zhao Zhao was one of his classmates, and he says no. It's a long story. After he explains, she wants to know if he really spent 30 million just to eat a meal. And then Zhao Zhao came and dropped 2 billion. Rich people really do treat money like trash. He changes the subject and asks what the client said. Apparently, they closed a business deal for some merch and sponsorships with a company. She also says she hired people to write ad scripts. He praises her, saying it's a waste of talent for her to just be a streamer. That seems to hit a nerve. She remembers how everyone used to say her dress was too revealing. Wait, he thinks she's still wearing the same outfit as before. She puts a hand over her chest and says she's always wanted to work in this other area, just never had the chance, and that she's grateful to him. She gives a little speech while he says this is just the beginning. Then they make another toast to their successful partnership. I saw a comment online that sounds about right. That blonde girl earlier probably had her eye on marrying the protagonist so she could get the inheritance from her grandfather. But when she saw his friends, those badass livestream girls, she probably got discouraged. The next chapter starts with some guys checking out a supercar, a 3.8 six-cylinder beast. One of them tells the other he should buy one like that, but he laughs and says obviously he could never afford it. The guy leans against the car while all the girls are swooning over him, and he's standing there with that dog collar chain looking smug. Then Miss Microshorts walks out of the company and says what a coincidence. He immediately asks if she needs some investments. He could put money into her company. And this guy is shredded seriously. Then he asks where she's going, offering her a ride. But she just says she has other things to do. He keeps pushing, saying they should go out to eat. She completely ignores him and keeps walking. The guy thinks it's weird. He's always been her top donor, and now she doesn't care at all. The problem is he bet his friends he'd get her this month. He even pulled his $3 million car out of the garage, apparently for nothing. And just then, the legend shows up, our boy on his little motorcycle, asking if that guy is her friend. She says yes. That mentally challenged dude with the horse tether chain is apparently a guy named Wenqing. Our protagonist reaches out and says, "Nice to meet you, Brother Wen." But the guy just straight up ignores him. Our boy tells her, "Hop on the bike, girl," and she's already on the back seat. Later, cuck. The loser just stands there, completely confused how he lost to some guy on a little electric scooter while he's got a $3 million car right there. And apparently this guy is totally funded by his sugar mom, because as soon as he gets in the car, he's thinking about how the old lady finally went on a trip, so now they'll have a few peaceful days. Then he calls some brother Zhang to go out for dinner. Weird vibe there. Meanwhile, the city's traffic is a mess, but our boy just hops the sidewalk practically ready to run over a dog. Bro, stay on the road. Drops a quick alleyway photo transition. Boom, we're at the restaurant. And oh my god, this food looks terrible. Straight up looks like they grabbed a random Google Images photo and slapped it in. This is rough. Slime says the best part is sucking the head. The protagonist nods and says she clearly knows what she's doing, and they make a toast. But then the door opens, and damn, look who it is. Isn't that the same one he humiliated earlier? And right away she turns and says they should go to a different restaurant. But the guy says no, he likes this place, so this is where they're staying. As soon as he walks in, he sees the head sucker sitting across from our guy. And oh, he's pissed that she chose to meet this loser instead. He immediately pulls the other girl into his arms and drags her off to the side. He's about to prove what it means to be her real #1 fan and show her exactly what she missed out on. I'm trying to remember who this redhead even is. If I'm not mistaken, she's the one who used to work with her back at the company before Gaowen left, right? The jealous one. Yeah, this is the same one our boy humiliated at the nightclub way back at the start, remember? And now she's sitting there thinking that while the fool Gaowen ends up with some random idiot, she's with the rich guy. Sweet Gaowen, though, turns to our boy and asks if they shouldn't warn Sinu that Wenqing is bad news. But he just answers that everyone eventually runs head-on into the fate they deserve. Oof, let's see. Another one about to get eaten alive. Let's see if she's got the same technique as the other one and says the forbidden words. She thanks him while the guy says she's a good girl, but then she suddenly leans in and feeds him. He flinches in surprise. And right then, the woman bankrolling him shows up. Wow. Okay, she's older, sure, but she looks great. Only her hair even looks old. This shows Sugar Mommy is top tier. But now she's tearing into him, scolding him hard. Wenqing knows that no matter how much he screws up, all he has to do is whisper some sweet words and he can win her back. But this time, the lady turns to poor Xinyu and asks if she doesn't know he already has a girlfriend. Xinyu is furious. Not because she lost him, but because those two just saw her get humiliated. Then the sugar mom grabs Wenqing and says she's given him everything. Car, house, allowance. And he still cheated. Then she turns to Xinyu and slaps her, saying she must have a death wish trying to steal someone else's man. Wenqing immediately drops to his knees and clings to her, saying he's an innocent man. Xinyu is seductive and cruel. She used every trick to try to steal him away. Poor Xinyu is just standing there completely stunned at what he's saying. The sugar mom asks if he's telling the truth, and he says yes. Yes, he's always loved her more. And here it comes, the classic. If you love me, prove it. Didn't even need to finish. He gets slapped across the face again. Xinyu starts to ask if Wenqing has lost his mind, but he yells at her, saying to stop buying him meals just to seduce him, trying to get him drunk so she can drag him to bed. Xinyu protests that he's lying while the protagonist just sits there with his eyes closed, calmly watching. Gaowen thinks he's being an idiot. Wenqing saying stuff like that when he's the one in the wrong. The protagonist grabs a plate of food, which at least doesn't look as bad anymore, walks right up to Wenqing and asks, "What's your problem?" Then bam, smashes it right in the guy's face, telling him to go to hell. Xinyu is left stunned, saying, "Xinguan, you're defending me? Are you actually defending me?" Meanwhile, Wenching is standing there with food dripping all over him, and damn, it was all still hot. Brutal. The sugar mom asks if the protagonist has lost his mind, but he says both of them are shameless and tells her to take her boy toy home and get out of here. She's about to say something, but her conscience seems to agree. Better to take this idiot home. Wenching shouts that he's going to kill the protagonist, but our boy calmly tells him to repeat that, curious to know exactly how he plans to do it. And of course, Sinu is standing there thinking, oh my god, he fought to protect me. Am I overthinking this, or is he actually interested in me? But then Wenching snaps a bottle and lunges to attack. And wow, our boy moves like he's floating. Don't even know where this kid learned to fight, but he drives a fist right into Wenching's gut and drops him to the floor. Then he turns to the sugar mom and says if she's going to pick a younger guy, at least find one with a little self-control. The lady is practically glowing, saying, wow, he fights so well, and he's so handsome. Meanwhile, Wenching is on the ground about to puke, and he hasn't even eaten yet. Xinyu comes over thanking him, but the protagonist tells her he just doesn't like public humiliation like this. She keeps blushing more and more while Wenching is whispering to Lin, telling her to find someone to get rid of that brat. But the sugar mom seems done with him, saying the kid is right. Even a dog would have been better than him. Then she turns to our boy and says, give me your number. Not sure if he gave it to her, but when he's heading out, Xinyu comes running after him, tall and flustered, saying, you saved me today. How about we go out to eat sometime, my treat? But the protagonist just says, no thanks, sweetheart. She keeps clinging to him, insisting she really wants to apologize. But he tells her to calm down. He wasn't saving her for her sake. He just didn't want to watch that kind of scene play out in public. Besides, he and Gao Wen have to get back to the company to work, so goodbye. Xinyu is left wondering how she could have been so blind, thinking she's just thrown away a 1 in a million man. Maybe she still has a chance. Gao Wen doesn't seem to have made any real progress with him yet. Meanwhile, the restaurant security asks who's going to pay for all the damage. The sugar mom points at Wenching, calls him trash, and smacks him with her heel, telling him to get lost. She walks past Xinyu without saying a word and leaves. Wenching realizes that now that Lin is gone, he's done for. He's about to be completely broke. He tries to run to Xinyu for at least one last happy ending, but nope, face plants right on the floor. She calls him filthy and warns him that if he comes near her again, she'll call the police. Back at the company, the feisty one says our boy just can't help himself, always saving everyone. He replies that it was nothing, he just wanted to put an end to that threat. Then she shows him the project she's been working on. Thanks to their growing popularity, some of the girls have been invited to shoot a drama. The protagonist says that's a great idea and tells them to start training. They'll film 10 episodes right away, and he'll cover all the costs. She says he doesn't need to, the company has money for that, but he insists that the company is still new and it's risky to spend its funds. So he transfers his own money, and of course, the system rewards him for never thinking about himself first. Before Gao Wen can even react, he puts a hand on her shoulder and says he has to check on the house renovations, so they'll talk later. Back on the bike, they pull up and he notices the weather feels nice. Well, not that nice because the loser couple is standing right out front. That future cuck is about to get humiliated. I wonder if Yu Liu is eventually going to catch feelings for our boy. And just as I'm thinking that, bam, she gets slapped across the face, hits the ground, and is left abandoned on the street. Maybe she will, especially when some Chad strolls up and, hey babe, don't cry. The night's still young, come with me. Just kidding. He doesn't say any of that. He just offers her a handkerchief while she thanks him, asking if he came just to laugh at her. He says no, she's overthinking it. He lives right across the street. He was just heading home. And now she's curious. The house is yours? Let's just say yes. Now she's thinking what the hell happened in the 2 years since he left school. He went up against the Pings, bought this house. Something's off here. But she's an actress, so she asks if he's angry at her. The boy steps closer, saying he's not angry. And he realizes this conversation is starting to get dangerous. Obviously it is. He's the one stepping closer. And she doesn't waste her chance, saying that after what happened in school, she's happy he doesn't seem to hate her anymore. As the wise Mamoru once said, our protagonist is too much of a man to be simping, so he tells her she's got it all wrong. She says she just wants to clear a few things up, but he tells her there's nothing that needs clearing up. The system congratulates him for not being a simp and gives him 10,000, which is honestly pretty low. But this battle's not going to be that easy. She steps in closer again, asking why he seems so impatient. He steps back again and says that women should know how to keep proper distance, that it's not right for them to stand this close to each other. And once again, the system congratulates him, saying he's headed for a bright future. But then suddenly, the protagonist's face goes cold, gets all dark and serious, and he says, you always used to humiliate me, following me around back then. Now I feel nothing. You're just a stranger to me in this life. And damn, leaves the girl frozen in a literal freeze frame. He heads home, hands in his pockets, earns another 10,000 as the gates close behind him. He glances back once before locking the door. She heads home, collapses on the couch like an idiot, when suddenly her phone rings. Her friend says she's the luckiest person she knows. Sure, she lost that loser from the Ping family, but apparently the other guy who used to follow her around has way more money now. Her friend tells her to message him quickly and says, "There's this streamer stuff going on. This guy has donated billions in rockets." As soon as she finds out it's Skin Wang again, she just drops the phone thinking about how stupid she was to throw away someone who had given her a life of pure luxury. But after panicking for a second, she quickly regains her composure and gets motivated, saying she doesn't lose in looks to any celebrity. Besides, it's even easier for a woman to chase after a man. She's confident she can make him fall for her. Meanwhile, back home, our boy looks at himself and realizes he's skinny as hell. Time to bulk up. He jumps online and looks into hiring a personal trainer. But suddenly, the system pops up and says, "A girl is feeling deep regret toward you. Seems like an evolution is about to trigger." It's the classic 90% meter, but in this case, he needs to make her feel 90% regret. If he does, he'll get 5 points to spend on strength, intelligence, or charm. Xin Yu is currently at 50% and Meng Kexi, who I think is Rain Yulio, though the name doesn't match at all, is at 80. Current stats: height 1.78, strength 25, intelligence 45, charisma 35. And without a second thought, since he's been wanting to get stronger anyway, he dumps all 5 points into strength. Looks like he got them right after unlocking this new system feature. He celebrates feeling an extra burst of strength in his arm, thinking this feature could have unlocked before he paid for all those lessons. But now he's got to go anyway. Might as well see if they're worth it. Next day at E-Hour Gym, he walks in. The receptionist asks if he's there to train, and he says yes. He tells her he booked 20 personal training sessions and his name is Hang Wang. While she's checking the computer, he looks around and notices it's full of girls in micro shorts. At least the place isn't too crowded and the equipment looks solid. Then the receptionist says she found the 20 sessions he purchased, but tells him he's not a member of the gym. He still needs to sign up and buy a membership card. He finds that a little weird. He already bought 20 lessons. She explains that those are separate things. He still needs a monthly plan. The protagonist just thinks this scammer really has a profitable business model going. She asks if he's decided and he says he wants to cancel all his lessons. The receptionist looks confused, saying that doesn't make sense. But he replies that he paid 80,000 yuan for those sessions, so it makes no sense that he wouldn't get a free membership included. She refuses, but he says he's already decided. Just process the refund because he's leaving. The receptionist tells him to wait and says she's going to call the boss, who I'm already picturing as some jacked gym rat in micro outfits. Meanwhile, the protagonist is thinking he might be dumb sometimes, but he's no fool. He'll spend 100 million if it's worth it, but he won't spend a single dollar if it isn't. Damn artist, you missed the chance to draw a ripped, fiery-haired gym goddess here. But with faith in God, a fit girl is gonna show up. I'm sure we wouldn't be at the gym in a class like this for no girl to show up. The guy recognizes the protagonist, who also recognizes him as Wang Taran. He tells the receptionist to get back to work. Like, I'll handle this. Our boy remembers. This guy was a school playboy, flirting with every girl around. Basically, a jerk that our boy doesn't like, no matter how decent he seems for a second. Then the guy asks if he really bought 20 personal lessons, and the protagonist says he wants to cancel. Right away, the guy figures he must have felt it in his wallet, but the protagonist just wants to know if this gym gives refunds or not. Taran tells him to calm down. He just saw a familiar face and wanted to chat a bit. Plus, you should know Gao Yuan works there too. He calls her over, sure she's gonna come all mad. While looking at our boy, he says he hasn't seen her in forever. Apparently, she was talking about him a few days ago. Then someone calls out to him and asks what's going on. Wait, that blonde girl? Doesn't she look like the one who dumped him? But wasn't her name Han Liu? Am I going crazy? Guess we'll see, right? Even I'm confused. The protagonist, on the other hand, is pretty happy she popped up in the system of all her stats. 5'6", 115 pounds, 24 years old, 8 out of 10 looks, and 0% regret. Guess it really is a different blonde girl, right? Probably that girl's sister or something. And the protagonist is celebrating, time to rack up some more points. The plan was to make this girl regret how she treated him back then. He remembers how dumb he was, actually thinking for a second that she cared about him. He remembers her acting all cute, saying she saw him getting a love letter and telling him not to get distracted with other girls. Even though he was amazing, she was sure that girl only did that because of a dare or something. The protagonist, feeling a little shy, told her not to worry. He wasn't gonna fall for anyone else because he only liked her. Damn, turns out their thing ran deep. The hand-holding moment girl, and she, all sweet, said he meant so much to her. The protagonist always thought she liked him in some way, but obviously she kept him in that almost but never zone. He'd give her gifts, but she'd tell him not to take it the wrong way and that other people might find it weird. Then the chubby guy would bring her a gift, she'd say the same thing. The blonde dude would bring her a gift, she'd say the same thing. And Wang knew one of the worst parts was that she acted like some Rich Harris. And another problem, money alone wouldn't impress her. He always knew she had her eyes on that jerk Taran because the guy's jacked, looks like a model, and is huge. He's sure she only became a gym girl to hang around that guy. So how's he supposed to beat that? Still, he was hyped because the harder it is, the more fun it'll be to win her over. Then Yuan calls the protagonist, asking if he's got some kind of problem. Our boy, staring at her, thinks the plan is to make Taran look weak right in front of her. Man, no doubt he's about to dump every single point he's got into strength and start pulling 1,000,000 pounds. Then he says he thinks it's pretty abusive that after buying 20 lessons, he still has to pay for a membership. It just doesn't make sense. His buddy says that's the standard, and if he doesn't like it, he can just leave. The door's right there. Plus, he should be working out and walking a lot already, just from going to the subway to get to work. The protagonist says, yeah, that's a good workout, but it doesn't really count that much. And now that he knows Gao Yuan works there, he wants to buy a year's worth of membership just to show his support. Taran immediately puts his hand on Gao Yuan's waist and tells the protagonist not to get any ideas. Besides, they're not hurting for money, so he should quit acting like he's rich. They know the situation. Obviously, our boy is hating this deep inside. This bastard came to this gym and flirted with his woman. Weirdly enough, the protagonist laughs and says that his old buddy from back in the day understands his situation. Why not give him a discount? Taran, confused, asks what discount he's talking about, and our boy asks him to take it easy. They're old classmates. The protagonist knows this guy probably owns this gym because of the financial support that girl gives him. Damn, this guy's the real protagonist. He gets the hot girl and she even funds a gym for him to work at. What is this man? I want to be him right now. But not for long. He's probably gonna get humiliated soon, right? Jerk. Then Taran says that for the sake of their past friendship, he'll give him a 40% discount and bump his 20 sessions up to 30. But he better be careful not to embarrass himself at the gym and barely manage a few reps. Wag replies that he'll never forget this favor and that he'll definitely pay him back double soon. Then the dude leaves and the guy calls Zhang Qi, telling him to help our boy. Yuan waves goodbye, and right then the bald guy asks if his dad's ever trained before and what he wants to focus on. The protagonist, though, says unfortunately there won't be any training today. He's got something important to take care of. The guy thinks it's a little weird but says fine. But when our boy leaves, the guy starts talking trash, saying it's shameful when men come to the gym just to pretend they're doing something. And the receptionist agrees, saying he's one of the worst, and a poor guy on top of that. But outside, the protagonist is smiling. The more they humiliate him, the sweeter the revenge will be. He hops on his scooter, asks the system to check his stats, and sees that he's grown a centimeter taller, realizing that maybe his strength or stamina is actually making him bigger. Now he's worried about turning into some giant monstrous bodybuilder, but the system tells him to wake up. That's not gonna happen. Then he thinks for a second and asks to see Sinua's and Mengxi's stats. Oh, so that blonde I was thinking of before, the one who looks like the gym girl, that's Mengxi. Got it. Thanks for the new name. And now the protagonist is hunting for his victims because he needs to rack up some points to get stronger. He's eager to max out Mengxi to 100% and see what happens. She's the target this time. Meanwhile, the baddie is all happy because even if she doesn't have Ping anymore, she still has a shot at winning over Wang. She knows he genuinely liked her back in the day, and right now she's putting together the perfect natural makeup look. She knows that to men this means pure natural beauty, and when she's ready, every last strand of her hair is perfectly set for seduction. And right then, the protagonist is calling her. She smiles, thinking that means he's been thinking about her too. Now that he's calling, he must be falling for her. This is way too easy. All she has to do is stick close to him, show a few submissive signs, because guys like him love that feeling of flipping the game around. Man, turns out this girl really does know everything. But the vibe she's giving off feels like she's kinda lying, because her regret just went up by 1%. The system mimifies the protagonist, and he finds it pretty interesting. So this brat really did like it when someone chased after her. He remembers how much she reminded him of Gao Yuan, who was love at first sight. Hard to believe that now he doesn't even want to hear about that other girl anymore. Right then, he picks up his phone and calls, and she answers, asking if he needs anything. He says it's nothing serious, while she's already smiling on the other end, wondering if her little technique worked, and he's about to ask her out. The protagonist tells her not to forget that he lent her a handkerchief to wipe her tears and she needs to give it back. The girl looks like a monster, asking him to explain what he even means by that. While the system praises our boy for such a pointless call, Mengxi stares at her phone, wondering who the hell asks for something like that back. She looks at herself in the mirror and says it doesn't make sense. Maybe he really does want to meet her, but he's too shy to say it straight. Of course, this loser must have made up that weird excuse. He's been like this since school. Or maybe he's got some weird fetish like wanting a cloth covered with her body fluids. I thought she'd be disturbed by that conclusion, but nope. She actually gets excited, thinking this is easy to win him over. She grabs a tissue and starts wiping everywhere, saying all she needs to do is add some fresh fluids. Clearly, this girl isn't all there in the head either. Then the protagonist gets another notification that her regret went up by another %. Wait, what? He just started, didn't even leave the spot, and it's already up by 2%? Felt just like when those simps were falling in love, but reversed. Damn, the protagonist says that in the end, nothing's left for the simp. It's classic beta boy stuff. Now at a cafe, he's sitting there thinking that lately the system only gives him missions involving women, and those pay way too little. He needs bigger opportunities, something more indulgent, something entrepreneurial. On his phone, he sees there's gonna be an auction for a pot that's basically a national treasure. While he's thinking it's a good idea, she shows up calling his name, and she notices right away that he's glued to that auction stream, which is something she actually loves watching. She immediately sits down, putting everything she's got on the table, apologizing for making him wait so long. She pulls a small box out of her pocket and says, "Here it is." The protagonist asks why she's so dressed up. She doesn't seriously think he likes her, does she? She's even rocking that natural makeup look with glossy lips. Besides, he only asked her to give back the handkerchiefs, so why the box? Mengshi tells him not to get the wrong idea. She didn't get dressed up for him. Plus, she says she only put on a little light makeup. But then, system goes up 1%. Right away, the protagonist says she's being fake. He's sure she's acting like this because she lost her shot with Ping, and now that he's not some broke loser anymore, she wants to use him as her backup plan. Damn, our boy just called her out completely. No mercy. She insists none of that makes sense. But the protagonist realizes this girl is a total love masochist. The more she complains, the higher the percentage climbs. Desperate, she demands to know how he even dares to think something like that. She says she always dresses up when she goes out, and besides, if he didn't want to see her, why did he ask to meet up in person just to return a handkerchief? The protagonist flat out says he asked her out just to humiliate her. He wanted to see her face crumble when her expectations were crushed. The same way she crushed him in the past when she called him poor and ditched him. Suddenly, she runs off saying he went too far while the system keeps going 1%, 1%, 1%. The protagonist smiles, thinking she might look like a goddess, but once the mask comes off, she's nothing. And he remembers her telling a friend that it's easy to get homework from that idiot. Just flash him a smile. But someone like him wasn't even worthy of carrying her shoes. The protagonist, though, thinks this is just the tip of the iceberg. He went through way worse than that. But the system was already sitting at 99.9%, and he gets 5 more points. The system suggests putting them into intelligence. What a dumb kid. But he dumps them all into stamina again. Once more, he feels that weird surge of power. It's like all of a sudden he can run 10 kilometers without stopping and burn off any fat without getting tired. Now it's time to go after Xinyu, since Mengshi's already shaken up and he can't farm points off her effectively anymore. Next day, our boy shows up for his first official workout. Look at him hitting the bench press, asking them to load up more weight. The trainer says, "Kid, listen, you're just starting out here at the gym. We focus on progression. You're gonna hurt yourself." The protagonist thinks, this guy really thinks I'm weak. All right, old man, hit this for me. Put 150 on the bar. The trainer's all freaked out, saying, "Man, you trying to die. If that bar drops on your head and snaps you in half, I'm out of a job. That's hard even for me." So the protagonist tells him to put 200 kilos instead. He just wants to test it, see how it feels. After getting all those points, he doesn't think it's that big of a deal. But the trainer's starting to lose his cool because the protagonist even pats his stomach and asks if he's scared he won't be able to help him. And honestly, the trainer's being a pretty nice guy here. The kid's basically asking to die, but the trainer's still being professional, even pointing to a fat guy across the room struggling with 200 kilos on his back doing squats. You won't handle that, kid. But the protagonist just asks if that's fear talking or if he's just refusing to help. Weirdly, the trainer almost collapses right there, and he's thinking he's screwed. He got the worst kind of student, the kind that always gets hurt and causes trouble for the coach. Right at that moment, Terran shows up asking what's going on. The chubby guy's busy staring at Terran's girlfriend's butt, by the way, burning holes into it. That girl's going home skinnier today. Zhang Enshi says, "Boss, I told this idiot to start with lightweight to build up gradually, but he wants to throw on 200 kilos right away." Yao Yuan tells the kid to calm down. He's just getting started, and the trainer's just trying to keep him from getting hurt. But the protagonist says he wants to make a bet. If he can lift this, they have to refund everything he paid. And if he can't, he'll buy 100 more lessons from good old John Chai. The trainer thinks that makes no sense. He heard this kid didn't even want to pay the membership fee. But the protagonist says he'll pay the 100 lessons up front, just refund them afterward if he wins. Meanwhile, Gao Yuan thinks the kid's being naive. With that skinny frame, he really thinks he's gonna win, so she suggests lowering the stakes. How about trying 100 kilos first? But the protagonist ignores her and asks if Zhang Qi's in or not. Zhang Qi agrees, saying if the kid's that eager to embarrass himself, fine. And honestly, this trainer's still being a good dude. He tells him, "All right, let's start like this. First, just try lifting the bar out of the rack so you don't die. Don't toss it over your neck, you'll kill yourself." But deep down, the guy's thinking this broke brat really believes he's gonna lift that much. If he actually does it, he'll swallow every curse word he's thinking right now. The protagonist tells him to get ready, grabs the bar, and at first, it doesn't even budge. Zhang Qi says he'd better quit before he hurts himself. Clearly, the bar didn't move at all. But then the protagonist digs deep, calls on his strength, and suddenly throws the bar upward, leaving everyone completely stunned. The guy's standing there with his jaw on the floor while our boy starts 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 reps. While the guy's still trying to process what's happening, Gao Yuan is, well, looking a little turned on. Her eyes are all dazed, saying she's never seen someone so skinny and so strong at the same time. What is even happening here? But the protagonist racks the bar, looks at them and says, "All right, losers, give me my money back because from now on this is all free." Plus, he says he's still gonna come back to train from time to time, but they'd better get him a more skilled instructor. A guy who thinks 200 kilos is a lot is useless. Yeah, that was cold-blooded. Humiliates the woman, humiliates the trainer, who was just doing his job. Okay, sure, the guy's kind of a jerk too, so maybe he deserves a little humiliation. But right then, he gets a call from Sinyo. He waves goodbye to everyone and says he's got a date with a beautiful girl today and can't keep her waiting. Looks like Gao Yuan saw that and started wondering, how does this loser even have a hot girlfriend? Honestly, I think the protagonist went too hard on the trainer. They should have made the trainer way more of a jerk if they wanted that scene to feel justified. Like have him shove him, knock him down, step on his head, then humiliate him. That I could get behind. But the guy was literally just doing his job. Anyway, not every human is perfect, and now our boy's at the restaurant with Xinyo, who's glowing and saying she's excited to finally thank him for everything he did for her. But he's playing it cool, looking disinterested, and she's left wondering why he's acting so cold. He rejected her before, but accepted this time, so maybe she actually has a shot? She doesn't really get it. Then he explains that the company he used to work for lost a bunch of streamers and sponsors. Things over there are bad. Their monthly earnings dropped to 1/10 of what they used to be, and people who used to make $100,000 a month are now taking home like $3,000. The girls don't even want to work there anymore. And what's worse is that the company's forcing them into terrible situations, basically pushing them to quit so they have to pay out their own termination fees so the company can recoup some of the losses. She didn't know what else to do, was practically starving when she met Wencheng, but that guy turned out to be even worse. She was lucky she ran into someone as incredible as him. The protagonist, though, thinks it doesn't matter how sincere her gratitude is. Right now it's useless, because this isn't the kind of regret he's after. Then he tells the students to pay attention because the lesson on how to deal with her is simple. He's going to make her believe the opportunity she's been waiting for is finally here, and at the last moment he's going to snatch it away. She'll get anxious and want it more and more while he makes sure other people she knows are the ones who actually get those opportunities. In the end, she'll realize it was her own past actions that caused this and be completely crushed. Alright, protagonist, but how exactly you come out ahead here? What's your endgame, man? Tell us. Then he tells her it was nothing big, and that he called her there because he needs her help with something. She immediately lights up and says if it's something she can do, she will. Perfect moment, right? But instead of flirting, the boy goes straight for business. He tells her his company has a lot of new streamers starting out, but they really need someone experienced to serve as a mentor. He says he needs someone like her, but then suddenly cuts himself off, saying he's got a call to take. He answers and tells her to wait, then says they'll talk later. Damn, that's cold. I actually felt bad for her. She just said she was practically starving, and he tells her he's got the job she's been wanting. But right at the last second, he walks away, leaving her all happy for nothing. Brutal. People who struggle under capitalism know exactly how painful that feels. Then he sees that she posted on social media saying her luck has finally turned. She never imagined she'd find a boss who would treat her so well. Finally, she could work hard and make money. This poor girl is about to be completely crushed, while the protagonist sees her regret shoot up by 5% and thinks everything's under control. Then the scene shifts to Xeno's house. King, the blonde from the very beginning, also left the company, paid $2 million in penalties, but ended up joining our boy's side. And Xinyo is sure she'll probably be next. That makes her a little sad because it proves she should have gotten close to wine earlier. She'd be competing with Gao Wen right now, not with King. Then the scene switches to the cat company's office. When she arrives there, the other streamers are weirdly looking at her and telling her to just get out of there. She's confused, and right then the boss opens the door and calls Xinyo inside. In the office, he immediately accuses her of trying to seduce one of the investors' men, and now that woman is furious, and Xinyo is the one who's going to take the blame. She says that makes no sense, that it was the boss who told her to go after Wencheng in the first place. But he slams his hand on the desk and says he doesn't care what he told her, he wants results. If she can't pay for this, her contract penalty to leave the company will be doubled, and she'll be stuck there forever paying everything off. The poor girl is too stunned to even react, while the boss tells her to get out of his office. As soon as she steps outside, she sees a bunch of women packing boxes and asks what's going on. One of her friends says it's obvious, everyone's leaving. Naturally, they're all going to Dujin, because even with the penalty to leave, it's still worth it compared to what they earn there. One of her friends who joined that company in its first month already managed to buy an apartment with the donations she got from her new boss. That guy is apparently super generous, totally different from this failing cat platform that no one wants to be part of anymore. Right then, Sinno realizes this place is a sinking ship and she's not going down with it. Honestly, I thought the girl was a bit cruel, but her friend tells her this place is doomed and even offers to recommend her to Dujin if she wants. Sinno decides it's really not worth staying. Even if they doubled her penalty, she's gone. Only in Manhwa's do they do this thing where the guy goes, I'm doubling the penalty, and she's like, oh no, it's doubled. What's next? He triples it. No. She remembers that Wine told her he believes in her and values her skills. She's sure he's a businessman, and even though they had conflicts in the past, everything will work out if she proves she'll be a good employee. But then a whole week passes, and at a cafe, someone tells her she's definitely qualified. But unfortunately, so many streamers have changed careers to Dujin lately that they aren't accepting anyone new. Right then, she falls apart inside, wondering how she's supposed to survive now. She paid all those fees to escape that cursed company, and now no one will hire her. At that moment, the protagonist is just chilling in his chair when her regret spikes another 20%. And judging by the comments, everyone's thinking the same as me. He's going way too hard on the redhead. She wasn't even one of the worst ones. All she ever did was call him poor, which he technically was at the time. But our boy is out here like Buzz Lightyear of humiliation, to infinity and beyond. The poor girl is at home, sitting there with fishnet stockings wrapped around her thighs. Damn, what a sight. Texting our boy on WhatsApp, asking if they can talk about that job opening he mentioned before. But he tells her Kinking already joined at Blonde from earlier, so forget it. She still insists, even sending a picture of a cute kitten winking at him, saying she just paid off the penalty to break her contract and that she used to be a top-performing streamer. So what about it? Does she still have a chance? He tells her that maybe she does have a shot. She just needs to talk to the recruitment team over there and see what happens. She'll probably do fine. But 5 days ago was when she found out all the positions were full and she asked if he can help her. 3 days ago, she messages again asking if he's there. 2 days ago, she asks if he's too busy. 1 day ago, she calls for him again and he apologizes, saying he had a lot going on. She invites him to grab a meal together, but once again, he ignores her. At that moment, the poor girl is thinking that if she had broken her contract back when he first opened his company, she wouldn't be in this mess now. But now she's screwed. Her house is mortgaged. That's how she managed to pay the penalty to leave her company. She has no source of income, no way to eat. She's got 800 yuan in her account, and she's already imagining that her old boss won't take her back since she tried to join Doujin and failed. On top of that, he'll probably make sure she can't get into any other company either, blacklist her completely. She's crying in despair while imagining him still threatening her. But that whole thing was just in her head, and now she's left wondering what she's actually going to do. Then Slime walks into our boy's room and says Sinyo reached out to her. Looks like she wants to talk to him. Even though she knows all the trouble Sinyo caused, she admits the girl really is talented. Wang says fine, since Slime is vouching for her, they can meet once. Back at the cafe, we're there again. The protagonist sees that after everything she's been through, she's completely defeated. She's got no fight left in her. She's broken, admitting that she used to be arrogant, thinking she was better than everyone else, and even believe that the protagonist would turn her into a streaming star. Now she realizes she's nothing special and nobody, not even the Mio group, wants her. She says she wanted to join Doujin, didn't even want a big salary. 10,000 a month would have been enough just to not starve. Poor girl. Somebody save her. Then Blondie raises his hand and she's confused. He tells her not to sell herself so cheap. Even though they don't need more streamers, he knows how talented she is because they worked together before. He says he wouldn't take advantage of a girl and kick her when she's down like this. And as old colleagues, he can help her get into Doujin. The only problem is that the best spots are obviously already taken, so she'll have to start as a B-rank streamer. If she achieves enough milestones, she can level up. The girl is so beaten down that she celebrates, saying B-rank is fine, perfect, even. She agrees right away. He tells her to send her resume again, while she wonders if things would have turned out differently if she had smiled at him more back then. Outside, she's apologizing again, saying she never imagined that the person she used to humiliate the most would be the one to save her. The protagonist says it's good she finally understood, and with that, her regret shoots up another 5%, hitting 99% total. I'm pretty sure those percentages don't add up, but let's just say we didn't see all the times it ticked up. The protagonist busy farming aura, saying that in this life, you never know pain until the knife cuts you. Another 5 points into stamina. He's celebrating, saying he feels stronger than ever. At that moment, he had reached the peak of a normal human's potential. And me? I'm still feeling bad for the poor redhead. But now he's heading back to the gym to humiliate everyone again. Honestly, I'm kinda hoping poor Zhang-Chi gets roasted one more time. When he gets there, he sees Taryn training, doing squats, and says that today is the perfect chance. He tells the receptionist he's going to hit the treadmill, while Gao Yuan is already wondering if he doesn't look stronger, more energized. He even seemed taller now and his body more balanced. What's going on, girl? Taryn seems to notice something too and comes over to talk to our boy, saying he wanted a better personal trainer. So how about him? The protagonist says perfect, he's more than qualified. Then Taryn says today they'll start with cardio. How about a light run for 50 minutes? The protagonist is shocked, but Taryn tells him muscle isn't everything, you've got to have good cardio too. 50 minutes is basically the bare minimum. If he can't even handle that, he might as well quit. The protagonist says he'll try, but he's never in his life run for 50 minutes straight. Meanwhile, Taryn's thinking this punk might have good strength, but his cardio's gotta be trash, and now he's going to prove it. Since this brat's trying to embarrass him, he's going to make him suffer. While Taryn's living his best life, giving lessons to his girlfriend and grabbing every part of her he can, he notices our boy walking around with a group of baddies cheering him on. What the hell? Gao Yuan tells him he might want to pay attention, while Taryn wonders what this kid's trying to pull. The girls are all circling around our boy, asking if they're allowed to look at his body. How did he get muscles that define imperfect? He really was strong, and the girls are practically drooling over him. They completely lost it, practically nosebleeding. At that moment, Taryn turns to his girlfriend and asks if she's okay. But come on, Taryn, what did you expect? I mean, yeah, she bought him a whole gym and everything, still trains with him, touching him all over. So yeah, it's hard to blame the guy for being with someone like that. Then the protagonist notices her regret jumped 10%, just as he thought, for her physical appearance was what mattered most. So the protagonist calls out to Taryn, asking when they're starting the training session, but the guy's just wondering how this kid ran 50 minutes and still wants to talk about training. He tells him to take 10 minutes to recover first, but the protagonist says he's not even tired. Besides, he only has 2 hours to train, so he can't waste time sitting around. Gao Yuan can tell he's not faking it. He really doesn't look exhausted. And Tara's wondering if the kid's just trying to get the most out of his training because he thinks he won't be able to afford more sessions. He tells the protagonist it's better to rest and listen to his body's limits. But the protagonist just repeats that he's not tired and even asks if maybe Taran would be exhausted if he tried. That one gets under his skin. This brat is basically challenging him to a fight now out of nowhere. And here comes the villain backstory. Turns out in the past, Taran paid some thugs to attack Gao Yuan so he could show up and play the hero. But the protagonist got involved first and ended up getting beaten to a pulp. Then Taran used the opportunity, showed up at the perfect moment, and beat up all the guys who were already set up to lose to him. That's how Gao Yuan fell for him. And that's how he got this cushy life. Jerk. The protagonist asks again when the training's going to start. He's busy, coach. They need to be more efficient. Taran looks at his skinny legs and is sure he's been skipping leg day. Right away, he points out that his legs are too thin. How about they work on fixing his muscle balance? The protagonist thinks about it for a moment and agrees, saying that does sound important. Taran puts his hand on his shoulder and says they're heading to the equipment room. His plan is to make the protagonist scream in pain and despair, to completely shatter his masculinity and composure. From a distance, Gao Yuan is watching and thinking that, yeah, the kid really does have skinny little legs. He doesn't stand a chance compared to Taran. But a little while later, Taran's got a shocked look on his face. The protagonist asks if these machines have some kind of different weight setting, because he's already trained on 3 of them for a long time and still doesn't feel anything. Taran can't believe it, while his girlfriend's regret shoots up by another 30%. The protagonist is thrilled. Things are moving way faster than he expected. And right then, the girl comes bouncing out from Taran's side, happily asking if he's coming to train again tomorrow. Ouch, those words hit harder than a punch to the face. And if that wasn't enough, she asks for our boy's number. Oh my god, this girl has no mercy for poor Taran standing right there. Nothing left for the beta without his system. So she scans his QR code and our boy leaves, while Taran just stands there staring at the smile on her face. He's wondering why she's giving him that seductive smile and why she took his number. Right then, he grabs her arm and demands to know why she added him as a friend. She says he's an important client. After all, he bought a bunch of lessons, so she needs to expand her business. Yeah, sure. Sounds like she's trying to expand something else too. Taran snaps, yelling that he's not some important client, but she tells him to calm down. Why is he jealous she likes Wong? He says the problem isn't her. It's the guy who's been hitting on her all this time. But she flips it on him, saying that apparently he has no confidence in himself and is just being passive-aggressive. And the poor guy's left standing there, completely lost, while she waves goodbye. Meanwhile, the protagonist gets home and sees her regret go up another 5%. Now all he has to do is sit back and wait for Taran to keep making mistake after mistake, while that regret meter just climbs higher and higher. He's already lit the flame of comparison between the two of them. He doesn't even have to do much anymore. There's a Chinese saying that sometimes doing nothing is better than doing everything. Then Mengxi calls him. If I'm not mistaken, that's the other blonde, the one who looks like Gao Yuan. She wants to know if he's free tonight, but he says, nope, I'm busy, unless it's something really important. She says she just wanted to invite him out to eat. So yeah, basically a date. But our boy, he says having dinner with her these days is meaningless. The moment he says that, he stares at his phone waiting to see if that last 1% will tick up and hit 100, but nothing happens. Meanwhile, Mengxi's in shock that he just hung up on her like that. She stands up and someone tells her to wait until they finish doing her hair, but she replies that nothing matters anymore. Back in her house, the door opens and she throws herself onto the bed, shouting that she hates that bastard Wang. Meanwhile, at our boy's company, he sneezes, probably from all the hate she's radiating, and asks what those files are. Goen explains she's been doing the charity research he asked for. When he opens the book, he tells her to sign them up for the cultural treasures of Xiasheng. She mentions that celebrities will be there. And here comes the classic patriotic moment. Oh, we're going to participate in this auction and reclaim our relics for Chinese pride. What's with these people, honestly? Then she leaves the room and the protagonist gets another call from Mengxi, but he just hangs up again. The poor girl can't believe he really doesn't even want to talk to her. She's wondering if she said something wrong, why the guy who used to chase her is now acting like this. It's so frustrating. She has no clue what he's thinking. She sits on her huge bed, wondering if she just lost her only chance. The protagonist keeps getting calls from her and even adds her contact with a note. Just one extra bonus point. Right then, he's arriving at the gym, while the poor girl spent the whole night trying to call him and couldn't get through. Her twin sister asks, why did you take so long? He just says, I had better things to do. She hands him some water, saying, here, drink this so you don't get dehydrated. Meanwhile, she's thinking, I told Taryn he's not into me. But why do I feel disappointed? And the worst part is, he really isn't. The only thing he wants from her is points. This protagonist isn't giving her anything else. He thanks her for the water, says everything's fine, but that it'd be best if they kept things professional and separate. Then he turns around and says goodbye, leaving her completely confused. How could his feelings just vanish? She's got the looks, fair enough. She's got the money, true. She can fund another guy's whole lifestyle. So, why doesn't he want me? Taryn's just standing there watching all of this, fuming. He's sure this punk is after his girlfriend. And to be honest, she seems more interested in the protagonist than she does in Taryn. Our boy starts working on some curls while the half-dressed girls at the gym are talking about how lucky his girlfriend must be. Damn. And she walks up asking what he's training today. He says legs. She asks why he's so focused on leg day, and he replies because it's useful for a lot of things. And of course, she's probably imagining he means that. Obviously, guys, it's for carrying grocery bags up the stairs. What else would it be? The protagonist then asks, don't you have other clients? She says she does, but they haven't arrived yet. Meanwhile, she's wondering why it feels like he's trying to get rid of her. Then Taryn's hand slides around her waist, while he's thinking that this punk is about to see that only he gets to touch that little waist. Bastard. But she's not happy about it and tells him to respect the workplace. Taryn tries to argue that it's normal between them, but she pushes him hard in the chest and says they need to separate their relationship from the gym. Her regret jumps another 5%. Our boy just says they can deal with their little drama themselves. Just as he thought, he doesn't even have to do anything. Just being there is enough to make Taryn dig his own grave. And Taryn's there holding onto the most loyal girlfriend in China, asking if she's on her period. She gets mad, telling him to stop talking about that in front of everyone. He tries to apologize, but she storms off, telling him not to talk to her anymore because she's tired of him always bothering her. Taryn's devastated, but of course he assumes it must have been something Wang said that ruined things for him. At that point, he calls his crew, saying he needs backup. Today's the day he's going to blow off some steam. When the protagonist finishes training, she comes back all excited again, saying they should go out for dinner sometime and relive their old school days. Wang wonders whether he should turn her down or not. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to have dinner with his old goddess. She sees his hesitation and says that if that's the case, she'll take a quick shower and get ready. Right away, she turns around thinking that this fool must be going crazy inside, no matter how calm he's acting. She leaves humming to herself while the protagonist is actually impressed. She's inviting him out, so why isn't her regret going up? She's definitely a tougher opponent than the others. Meanwhile, Taryn is swearing to himself that tonight he's going to prove he's the real man here. Then she comes back out dressed, and good lord, that outfit is terrible. Girl, just stick to the gym clothes, you looked better before. As the two of them are walking out the door, my god, Taryn's life really isn't easy. Look at the situation he's putting himself in. Get out of there, man. This gym is not worth your dignity. But of course he's calling his friends to give the two of them a good lesson. Just as he's about to get into the car, suddenly the door shuts and some thug walks up asking what he's doing there. The protagonist looks a little confused and Gao Yuan asks what they're doing there in the first place. The guy asks if that's her car. She says yes. Then the guy says, well, too bad because I was about to park my car right there. She tells him that makes no sense. It's a public space and she doesn't care what he wanted. But Juan already figures it out. These guys are here looking to pick a fight no matter what. Right then the guy grabs her arm saying she has to compensate him for the day he couldn't park in that spot. Great argument. Then someone tells him to let go of the girl. The thug asks if he's going to play the hero and our boy says yes. The three of them close in, warning him to be careful or he's leaving with a broken leg. Innocent little Go Yuan is about to call Taryn, but the protagonist tells her there's no need. Besides, it's already too late. The thugs smirk, saying he's quick on the uptake. Just get on his knees, beg them to let the little one go, and they'll forget it ever happened. Better watch yourselves, guys. Someone's about to get canceled. Wang just says he thinks it's too late for that. They'd better run. He throws the first punch, completely twisting the first guy's face, then kicks the second one straight in the jaw, while Gao Yuan is standing there practically melting. In seconds, they're all lying on the ground, beaten, and with their asses in the air. Wang asks if the last one wants to go to the hospital too. The guy says there's no need, he'll take everyone himself. Right then, Miss Loyalty asks if he's been training. How is he so strong? He just says it's nothing. They should go grab dinner. But in the car, she can't stop thinking about how cool he looked. Boom. Another 20% regret. The protagonist thinks to himself that Taryn's girlfriend is really going to help him hit 100% fast. Scene changed to a fancy upscale restaurant, one of the best in the city. The waiter brings champagne and serves it to the couple. Miss Loyalty raises her glass, saying this toast is for him, and downs the drink. She's smiling, saying she heard he got a job in the city. Was it going well? He replies that, to be honest, he's been unemployed for a few months. Surprised, she says he doesn't seem desperate at all. Plus, he's spending time at the gym, so how does he have money? The protagonist says he left his last job voluntarily. It wasn't worth it to be bossed around like that. He figures that to get even more regret out of her, He has to act like a man who isn't afraid to lose composure. She says it's amazing how honest he is, since most people would hide something like that. He replies that life has to be lived one day at a time. Besides, going to the gym allowed him to run into her again, so it was worth it. She starts twirling her hair, saying that back in school he was always so cold. Then out of nowhere, she says that was just an act, because for 4 whole years in school he really liked her. Such a beautiful memory of youth. The protagonist says this is the understanding admirer technique, and it's going to work. Let's see. Obviously it's going to work. It's the protagonist after all. She seems a bit confused by what he said, but he tells her not to worry. It's all in the past. All he wants now is for her and Taryn to live a long, happy life together. She turns to him angrily, saying that's impossible. Plus, they're not even married. It's just a fling. The protagonist says they should enjoy the meal, and a little while later, he excuses himself to go to the bathroom. As soon as he leaves, she gets a call from Taryn. He wants to know where his baby is, and she casually says it's obvious. She's having dinner with Sing Wong. Damn, poor guy's stuck at the gym. There's really nothing left for that poor gym rat. He's sitting there wondering if she's really ignoring him because of that guy. She tells him to stop overthinking and trying to imply things. There's nothing going on between them. He says he already knows that he trusts her completely. Then she says she hasn't even finished eating yet. They'll talk later, and hangs up. Our boy heads to the cashier to pay the bill, and boom, another 10% regret gained courtesy of Taryn. Gao Yuan starts thinking that he's being way too possessive. And what did he mean by is she okay? Of course she's okay. It's not like she was attacked. But apparently just by asking if she was okay, she already assumed it was some kind of setup on his part. Damn, this is straight up Death Note levels of deduction. When the protagonist comes back, he sees her phone sitting on the table and knows she must have gotten a call. Once again, someone unintentionally helped him out. He comments that she looks a little down and asks if she wants to head back soon to get some rest. Apparently, he calls her Yuan, and that alone gives him another 2%. Then he says they should head out, that he'll walk her home and grab a taxi after. Genius move. The protagonist says this is the time to act like a gentleman and know where to draw the line. Oh, come on, going to her house while saying you know where to stop? I know exactly where that's headed. But she accepts, saying that since he's going through the trouble, she can't refuse. Our boy's looking right at us like, is this where I finally hit 99%? Okay, now we're at her place. She invites him in for a glass of wine. But our boy says it's better not. Taryn would definitely take this the wrong way. Plus, they'll see each other soon enough at the gym anyway. So goodbye, he's heading home. The protagonist says this is what it means to be a Sigma male. Oh please, that's cringe. But she's not letting him leave so easily. She tells him to wait and mentions that the gym seems like it wants to branch out into streaming too. She heard he's involved with that. He's a bit confused, but she asks him, please, to teach her, help her get started. Our boy agrees, saying he'll introduce her to the person who handles that part of the company since he's way too tired right now. He calls a taxi, says goodbye girl, and leaves. She's left there, stunned that he refused the wine, and then refused to help her too. But it was all worth it, because he's now at 99% and gets another 5 points. Just for refusing the goddess's invitation, he earns a whole pile of extra coins. This is the legendary Eternal Virgin system. Do nothing, farm points. The protagonist remembers back in school when he was just some awkward loser and she humiliated him. But now the tables have completely turned. The taxi stops in front of the hotel, and he says it's time to cash in on the Mengji situation. He's left her hanging for a few days, and now it's time to throw out the net and reel her in. Looks like he dumped 5 points into charm. Damn, he's really going all in. And there she is, right next to him, asking what he's doing there. She's already blushing, and just one look from him has her taking a deep breath, wondering why he looks so attractive even dressed so casually. She can't understand why her heart's pounding so hard, while the protagonist asks what exactly she wanted from him. She's flustered, not sure why he's pushing this so much, and he explains that he hasn't been answering her the last few days and was kind of rude, so he wanted to say it to her face. She starts thinking that finally he's remembered his feelings for her. Then she says she made some homemade fermented rice and asks if he wants to talk over it. He asks if it tastes good, and she says he'll have to try it to find out. He agrees, but says it'll have to be quick since he has other things to take care of. Now we're in the kitchen. The rice is still cooking, and the protagonist's standing there, bored out of his mind. Meanwhile, she's loving every second of being watched like this. She's practically drooling. Girl, get a grip. The protagonist is a little freaked out, thinking she's acting strange. Then she sets the plate down and says if he wants more sugar. It's right there on the table. He thanks her, saying she's being very considerate, and that he'd like to see more of this side of her. But she just keeps staring at him, then says he never replies to her messages or calls her. So how was she supposed to act any different? The protagonist replies that she always ignored him, so he figured if she didn't like talking to him, it was better for them not to talk much at all. Our boy is eager, wanting to maximize her regret. Then she pulls up a chair, sits right next to him, admits she was immature, and asks if they can be friends, while dropping that bombshell right in the middle of the room. But the protagonist says everyone needs to stay calm. Moments like these are when you can't lose your composure. Damn. He tells her she's sitting too close, and if they're going to be friends, they need to keep some distance. But as he says that, he takes a bite and winks, telling her it's delicious. The poor girl's a mess, tearing up, blushing bright red, practically sweating blood. He asks what's wrong. She turns to him, calling him stubborn. The protagonist keeps eating but admits he's confused. No matter what he does, she never smiles, always looks upset. He gets ready to leave, figuring he's just making her angrier and she won't sleep well tonight, but he still thanks her for her hospitality. That's where she grabs his arm and says she thought he understood what she wanted. She's sitting there with her eyes shut while he tries to figure out what she means. And since our boy isn't making a move, she takes charge, grabs his arm, slams the door, throws him onto the bed, and goes for it. Finally, the artist gets to display 101% of his talent. The protagonist just standing there thinking, Mengshe, what's happening? The girl's heel hurts. She fell to her knees, and she says she's not asking for his heart just yet. But she doesn't want to start this relationship from zero either. The protagonist asks if she's sure, and then, yeah, there's no going back. The mechanical bull just got switched on. The girl bites him playfully and goes all in, no regrets, taking the lead. But the protagonist, sharp as ever, flips the situation back on her. And just like that, after 52 chapters, Wang finally scores his goal, folks. And honestly, I don't even know if the bastard hit 100%, but he wakes up completely red-faced, thinking that even though he tried to keep his composure, his mind went totally blank. Then she wakes up asking him for a massage, and the system notifies him he's at 100%. He's just standing there admiring the system's power, wondering what's going to happen next. At the same time, he realizes that maybe to push that last percentage, he had to trigger a powerful emotion. Then he orders the system to hand over the reward for reaching 100%. The system explains that once he reaches 100%, the person starts helping him earn money. 30% of everything she makes gets converted into money for him. But since the protagonist is already loaded, he's not all that excited, though he starts wondering, what if it was with someone way richer? The system just tells him he's being arrogant. He just got his first conquest, and he's already thinking of making a list. Then he gently pats her head and says he'll be back later, and she agrees that's fine. With that, he says goodbye, thinking to himself that it really was a productive night. Now that she's basically part of his staff, he's got to make sure she works hard. Back at the company, he greets everyone good morning, and all the girls are buzzing, saying it looks like another company wants to start a full-blown fight. Slime's standing right there, saying she's the target, while the girl next to her is restless, swaying her hips side to side. Now that he knows pushing that last 1% requires something big, he remembers that the most important thing to this girl is her status in the streaming world. So he says that Gao Wen is retired now. She only manages things. That's why Ximio will be the one to go into this PK battle against Lu Shui. The plan, obviously, is to give her a bit of a promotion and somehow make that last 1% move. Ximio seems a bit hesitant. She's only a B rank in the company. Will this even work? But the protagonist just tells her that when opportunity shows up, you can't let it pass. She says fine. Right away, our boy tells Gao Wen to inform the enemy team that they're going through with the duel. The scene cuts to another building, barefoot on one foot, shoe on the other. Ah, yeah, that's how you know this is a high-level competitor. Oh, it's that girl from the club earlier, who remembers the legend, and she confirms that Dujin's side accepted the challenge, but it will be a team battle. He says that's fine and asks when it starts. And holy hell, this guy's got a system too. Liang Chiu's system, Sim Tycoon. Oh boy, he's competitive too. And will the protagonist handle this? Sim Tycoon is the system where you spend money on women to win. And the two glowing orbs in his system tell him not to worry, stroking his ego, saying that today he's finally going to humiliate that entire group. After tonight's match, he'll never have the courage to stream again. Liang Chiu's sitting there thinking this is the perfect night to shower Gao Wen and Simyo with gifts. If he worships them hard enough, he'll be flooded with system rewards. Then he grabs her arm, asking what he'll get as a reward if they win. She tells him to let go since there's a crowd watching from outside. But he says he worked hard to win her over and wants the whole world to know it. He thinks to himself that thanks to her and the system, he managed to double his money. Really, just double. That's all he got. Poor guy, our protagonist's system is on another level. It's already added this guy's girl to the regret list. But this time, he's nervous. He doesn't even really know who this girl is. How's he supposed to win this one? And he's pissed because most of the women the system chooses aren't even the ones he personally likes. What is his type, anyway? While he's talking to the system, Sinyo suddenly walks in and asks if they can have a word. He says sure, and she awkwardly thanks him for giving her the chance to prove her worth. She promises to use all her skills and won't rely on anyone else. The protagonist is impressed. He didn't expect that much determination from her. But then he asks if she's thought about what happens if she loses. Obviously, his plan is to make her anxious, coming at her from a different angle. Poor girl, she suffered the most already, and she's about to suffer even more. He's thinking that now that he's figured out how the 100% mechanic works, he wants to have several women logged in the system so he can just lie back while the money rolls in. Zeno is a little confused, wondering why this weirdo is laughing so much. Once again, he asks what she'll do if she loses. She says not to worry. There's no way she's losing. The protagonist says fine, he'll watch closely and see how she handles this PK. But she should know that when he steps in, things won't be so easy. She says it won't be necessary. She'll honor the company. He says all right then, if she wins this PK, he'll promote her straight from B rank to S rank. She gets fired up, saying he can count on her. But poor thing, she's about to get destroyed by Liang Qiu's system, and at the very last second, the protagonist will clutch it and steal the win. At that moment, over in the other company's control room, Liang Qiu's system pings. His simp tycoon has just activated on Mengxi. He has no idea who this woman is, and worse, if he doesn't get her number, he'll lose 5 favorability points with the other girl. He starts to suspect that this girl might be connected to that Xingwang somehow, maybe one of the women in his inner circle. Right away, he calls Guju and orders him to dig up everything on Mengxi's background. He even offers 15,000 extra for speed, then thanks him for the quick turnaround. Meanwhile, the protagonist is sitting there imagining the future days where he'll just sit back, doing nothing, earning money from all these women. Throughout the day, people keep talking about him, and from time to time, an extra 200 yuan pops up, probably from her working and feeding him income. Suddenly, he gets a call. Someone's inviting him to dinner. It's Mengxi, the bold one. He's about to say he's busy, but hesitates. After all, he finally hit 100%, and now ignoring her completely would almost feel too cruel. So he replies that he won't be going to her house, but they can go out somewhere to change the scenery. He invites her to a restaurant at Shangxin Tower, and she gets excited, saying she'll be there at 7. Meanwhile, Liang Qiu is receiving intel that Mengxi rented a car and will be at the tower at 6. Damn, this dude's system is full-on stalker mode, not simp mode. Looks like this guy's system really is just bootlicker tycoon. Poor guy, he's about to suffer going up against our selfish, overpowered system. Now we're at dinner. They toast, and the two of them are laughing and enjoying themselves. Our boy tells her she's been working hard. You can tell she's exhausted. She admits she got a bunch of meetings today and is tired, but she's happy he noticed that she's been different lately, maybe a little less drained. But the only reason he noticed is because of the money notifications coming in. So he tells her to eat, regain her strength, while she just sits there smiling. Meanwhile, the protagonist is wondering if he's going to have to actually become this girl's boyfriend. That would be so much work. The system chimes in, saying good relationships require effort. The protagonist suddenly feels insecure, and he actually loses 100% progress if he slacks off. He urgently needs to conquer a few more girls to boost his stamina and charm. A perfect target would be this Lu Shuai who just got added to the system. Mengxi then says she's going to the bathroom. He says okay, and the door shuts. The system tells him he should expand his social circle to summon new friends. He swirls the wine, thinking that's not a bad idea. The charity event is coming up, and that'll be the perfect chance. Mengxi washes her hands, reapplies lipstick, and as she steps out, she bumps into Liang Qiu's guy, who immediately puts his hand on her waist. He apologizes, asking if she's hurt. She says she's fine but looks confused. And this guy, all smiles, asks if they've met somewhere before. Nope, not working. She just turns and tells him he's got the wrong person, while thinking, what kind of idiot uses such a lame pickup line? Meanwhile, Liang Qiu is literally having a Manhwa moment, thinking this was fate. The rich, beautiful girl humiliates the guy who seems totally average. But wait, this guy makes it into his own Manhwa too, because he signals his buddy, saying this is his chance. Time for technique number 2, it's crisis creation time. The thug calls out to Mengxi asking, hey pretty thing all alone, add me to your contacts. But she just snaps back with a get lost, you creep. This guy thinks he's smooth, says, wow, you're sharp like a little spicy pepper. She's ready to kill this bastard, but then he grabs her arm, saying things are just getting started. But right then, Liang Qiu shows up, saying the hero has arrived. He shoves the guy and asks if he's not going to respect what the lady said. Seriously, everyone in this story is garbage. The thug asks if he's crazy. Doesn't he know who he's dealing with? He's the president of the Tian Cheng group. Liang Qiu just says he doesn't care who the guy is. A real man never hurts a woman. But from the look on Mengxi's face, she's not buying it. She finds the whole situation weird. This guy hit on her a second ago, and now he's playing the hero. It feels like some bad soap opera scene. He turns to her and asks if she's alright. Does she want to go to the hospital or press charges against the guy? Poor dude, he's already imagining she's about to fall into his arms and give him her contact info. Sorry, buddy, you're new to this whole system game. Mengxi, looking a little confused, says that's a bit of an overreaction. A simple apology from the guy is more than enough. But the thug in the back warns them they're screwed. He's calling his crew, and this won't end cheaply. He's already on the phone while Liang Qiu tells him that makes no sense. He was the one harassing the girl, how dare he act like the victim now? Just then, Wang shows up asking what's going on. He'd been waiting for her and she was taking forever, so he came to check. Now he's standing right there, face to face with everyone, and Liang Qiu is practically shaking. He had no idea Mengxi was here meeting another guy. And Mengxi immediately grabs Wang's arm, saying these creeps were bothering her. She says the guy in front seemed to be trying to help, but he was kind of strange too. The protagonist thanks him for stepping in to protect her, calling him a good man. Liang Qiu forces a smile, saying it was nothing. He was happy to help, while thinking he's screwed. The system gave him a girl who's already involved with someone else. Still, he tells himself to stay calm. He's got enough money to win over anyone. He just has to play the system's game, and soon enough this goddess will be his. Juan asks the thug if his buddies are going to show up soon, as the food's getting cold. He just wants to know if he can eat first. Mengshi is impressed by how calm he is, which makes her like him even more. And Liang Chao, at least not completely stupid, realizes that if he keeps pushing now, it'll only make her hate him more. So he says that since the two of them are safe, he'll leave him alone. As he walks past, he tells Wang to learn when to walk away. But Wang seems to have noticed everything. He knows plenty of people are watching Mengshi, considering the goddess status she has. Then Liang Chao turns back and says that since she already has a man, he just wasted his time and is leaving. But Wang stops him and says his performance was good. What theater does he act for? The guy looks confused, asking what theater he's talking about. And while he's wondering if Wang figured it out, Wang tells him to drop the act. He knows this fake hero routine. Mengshi realizes her suspicions were right. Liang Chao ignores him, saying he's a businessman and has no time to waste with trash like him, then turns to leave. But Wang suddenly says he'll pay 10 times the amount. The guy hesitates, asking what he means. Our boy says that a smart man never lets a chance like this slip away. Meanwhile, in the parking lot, Liang Chao gets into his car, fuming. He's pissed that this detective plan was useless and only messed everything up. Then his system warns him he's got only 4 hours left before the mission deadline. He better hustle. Damn, so his system punishes him if he fails to win her over. He's pounding the steering wheel, saying he's screwed. There's no way this is working out now. Not after all that. He decides he doesn't care about the system anymore. He'll take the 5-point penalty. What matters is he'll make money off other women eventually anyway. Scene shift to Mengshi's house. And like they say in soccer, after the first goal, every goal gets easier. Yeah, there's even a little drool there. She had to be censored with the Puritan seal because she was being way too bold. Damn, I thought the next chapter would jump straight to the morning, but no. Our protagonists, they're covering her up, asking what she's doing. Girl's just sitting there confused. Like, what does he mean what she's doing? It's pretty damn obvious, you idiot. He says she doesn't have to thank him that way, but she snaps back with a no way and dives right in again. The protagonist wants to back off to escape, but this game has no system to save him. He's defeated easily. Champagne practically pops in the house next door, but you can tell something's going down over here too. Next day in the streamer room, Gao Wen tells Xinyu to get ready. Today she has the advantage, and she has to show the company's strength. Win or lose, it doesn't matter. What matters is proving her experience and honoring everyone watching. Xinyu says she understands. Then Gao Wen steps into our boy's office asking if everything's ready. She says yes, everything's set. The flights are in 2 days and multiple 5-star hotels have been confirmed. The protagonist thanks her and then says, "Come here, take a look at this monitor. How do you think we take down this chick right here?" Gao Wen looks confused. On the screen is Lu Shui. The protagonist explains that this woman targeted her at the bar that time and now she's attacking the company. There's no way he's letting that slide. But Gao Wen says that'll actually be easy. She explains Lu Shui only bows to 2 things, money and a man who's in control. For her, there's nothing better than a guy with loads of cash and an aura that leaves her with no options. And our boy just sits there thinking money's the easy part. But how the hell am I supposed to be dominant? I'm a gentleman, I'm chill. How do I even act like that? This is gonna be awkward. Wait, wasn't it? In 2 days? But now Gao Wen says the live battle starts in 2 minutes. The protagonist says he's excited. Xinyu takes a deep breath and starts her live stream. She's all in, total tryhard mode, giving her life to this PK. She greets everyone, saying they must all be excited for this epic showdown. She throws her elbow in the air and donations are already flooding in. Someone just dropped $1 million. You can tell what these guys like. Meanwhile, at the other company, Lu Shui senses that Boss Liang's acting a little weird today. She turns on her stream too, immediately telling her viewers that tonight's live will be full of surprises. The protagonist sees this and thinks, all right, tonight I'm really going to show what I can do. Then boom, the fireworks start raining down on Lu Shui. Our boy decides to pace himself, taking it slow. Lu Shui is confused. Wasn't it supposed to be Boss Liang throwing all the rockets? Something feels off. Everyone in the chat is amazed. No wonder she's so famous. She always attracts the richest whales. Is she Slime's descendant or something? An artist for real? Can we switch up the brush here? That sweat is looking weirdly thick. Lu Shui thanks everyone, wondering if this new supporter is one of the top-tier backers. She plays some music, launching into this heartfelt bit about finding a cure for cancer, ending world hunger, and developing technology to impress humanity. And while she's talking about saving the world, the rocket spam keeps raining down, and the artist's brush is going wild. Meanwhile, poor Xinyu is trying hard on her side, but she looks calm, collected. Then suddenly, ships and rockets start raining on her side too. She thanks everyone, smiling gently. Turns out she's calmer than I thought. Our boy just watches both streams quietly. Then Shui suddenly turns to our boy's bathroom metaphorically, saying his username is way too modest and asking for his real name. The protagonist thinks that if she's being this sweet, then she's about to get an even bigger shower of support. But unfortunately, a moment has come. He pulls out 15 phones, all tuned to Xinu's stream, preps his fingers, and unleashes rocket barrages 50 at a time. The artist has never worked this hard. The guy's thumbs are practically glowing red. Xinu asks her viewers what they thought of her dance just as her entire screen gets covered in rockets. Nothing else is even visible anymore. The guys in the chat are even complaining they can't see the girl dancing anymore, and the protagonist is just sitting there wondering why they're mad at him. Even the system chimes in, telling him, "Stretch those fingers. I'll blow on them to cool them down." While Xinu is tearing up with emotion, Lu Shui looks confused. She grabs her phone and sees that the broke guy must have either deleted her contact or wiped his profile. Something happened because she can't message him anymore. She tells the stream to hang on. She'll be back in 2 minutes with a new outfit. She storms past the boss's office, furious, wondering why Lang isn't spending today. And he's just sitting there, phone in hand, wondering how anyone can possibly spend that much money on this. Poor guy. His system's getting crushed. Then Lu Shui bursts in, demanding to know why he's not doing anything. He hesitates, and she snaps at him to spend more money and humiliate those guides like he always does. But his hesitation costs him. He loses 50 favorability points instantly, and now he's panicking. Because if her affection is what lets him make money, he's screwed. He explains that he's been spending like crazy, but whoever's on the other side is way too fast with their donations. She tells him it's fine if they go slow, as long as they don't lose in the end. But Liang Cheo's sweating. His spending limit is 200 million, and he can only use it on a girl who's his current target. She crosses her arms, saying she'll just sit back and watch his amazing performance. Now he's terrified. This just started and he's already down 50 million. On top of that, she lost 50 favorability. This woman is way too materialistic. The problem is, she's his first target. If he loses her, he loses all his income. He takes a deep breath and focuses. He has to turn this around. Then he unleashes a massive barrage of rockets. Our protagonist sees that the enemy is taking this fight seriously. But he's not Sung Junwoo still, he's ready for war. He decides he's going to end this in one single strike and drops another massive wave on Xenu. He's even striking a pose as the system praises him, while Liang Cheo is completely dumbfounded, wondering where all those rockets are coming from. Poor guy even drops his phone, falling to the ground crying. He starts screaming in desperation, and the women outside are asking what's wrong with him. He's acting weird today. And then Lu Shui announces they've lost. All of her top donors are now switching sides to support Dujin. What are they supposed to do now? And right then, Liang Chao loses another 20 favorability points. He realizes he's down to only 100 million left in his simp fund. He's doomed. He decides, you know what? Screw Lu Shui. She's too hard to win over and way too materialistic. I'm finding an easier target. He tells her that losing isn't that big a deal. But she fires back, saying maybe it's no big deal to him. But she was humiliated live in front of everyone. He replies that he spent 100 million on her. If she's still lost with that kind of help, that's on her for failing to attract anyone. That's the last straw for her. She says she gets it and storms out, saying she's done with this place. He just shrugs, saying she can leave if she wants. What, does she think she was some kind of goddess? Scene shift to our protagonist's company. Go-Wen walks in, saying she's got news that Lu Shui just left her old company. The protagonist is impressed. He knew she'd quit eventually, but not this soon. Right away, he tells Gao-Wen they're taking her in and putting her to work here. Go-Wen warns that the girl has a very arrogant personality and isn't easy to deal with. But Wang just says he guarantees she'll be here before the charity auction. They just have to wait for the right moment. Go-Wen is skeptical, but since he's confident, she decides to trust him. Wang can't wait to take advantage of her while she's still broken, and the system praises him, saying he's really rubbing salt in the wound. For being so cruel, he gets rewarded with 1 yuan. Meanwhile, Lu Shui is in the elevator, furious, wondering what the hell just happened. That bastard talks so big about covering everything, and now she's been humiliated like this. She grabs her phone and sees that the guy who donated like crazy just unblocked her and tells her it's fine. Losing doesn't matter. Next time, he guarantees she'll take first place. He asks if she has any idea who he is. She's a bit confused, only remembering that he was the one who sent all those rockets. Then he reveals it. He's Sing Wang, the head of the Dujin group. She's completely stunned, not understanding why the boss of the rival company's competition was sending her gifts. This time, the protagonist goes straight to the point, saying he's already booked a private room at Kyongding restaurant. Something inside tells you to like the video that helps Mamoru make more juicy content for his viewers, activate the cheeky little bell, and I'm out.